All right, kids, here we are. Here we go. Just after 3 o'clock, 3:07 to be precise. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Convenient that. We've got 4 full hours to get to over the course of the day. Am I very loud, Mason? I feel like I'm much louder than everything else. I apologize for producing on the air, but I just want to make sure that everything's sounding as good as it possibly can for the folks out there in their automobiles, in their homes, in their places of business. Hello, Mason Fleming.
Hello, Mr. Murphy. You sound good. You look good.
Oh, well, thank you, buddy.
Keep that confidence rolling.
That's very nice of you to say.
Am I?
I'm supposed to give you access, right? Is that what I'm doing over here?
Yeah, I think so.
So do I have to do that file by file?
No, you should be able to send them as if they're all in the same folder. There, you should be able to give me access to.
I don't know that they're in the same folder, Mason.
This is your idea.
I know it's my idea.
This is what you want.
I'm gonna try to give you. I'm gonna try to manage your access.
Oh boy.
Only people added can open with this link.
Hopefully, add me. That's what we're hoping for.
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do this while we're on the radio.
Maybe
so. One way or the other, we're trying to get access to some of the audio and video that we recorded earlier in the day today. As I was down at the Tennessee State Capitol, more specifically, I was down in the Cordell Hull building. Cordell Hull is where all of the legislative offices are, the House of Representatives and the State Senate. I got a chance to meet with a number of different representatives and senators, to include Jack Johnson. We sat down with him, Cameron Sexton, Jeremy Faison, who am I missing? Jake McCalman, which is always a very difficult name for me to say for some reason, and Jake and I were laughing about that earlier. And, gosh, I'm missing one or two. But one way or the other, we were talking about the same thing, and that is spending money to save money, spending a little to get a lot, a return on investment, and that's what Men of Valor is all about. I was so proud to be down there with these men, these graduates of the Men of Valor program. I was proud to be down there with Raul, and Tommy was down there, and Genevieve was down there, and so many others. And just thank you to Men of Valor, and thank you to all of you that said hello to me if you were down out and about. We'll talk about that today. It is an underserved topic in American society. We have millions of men who are in the prison system, millions of them nationwide, and most of them are getting out. So we'll talk about that at the beginning of the show today, and I'll share some of those clips with you if I can manage to share my access with Mason. I think that I can. Mason Fleming's back in the saddle, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible in the absence of Chris Weber. Chris off this week. So be nice to him when you call 615-737-9986. I mean, after all, he has to put up with Hand 3 hours a day, and then me.
Yeah.
That's double duty.
That's a long day, man.
That's a long day. I had a long day today. I started off with Mandis in the morning.
Yeah, you did.
On Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I was here early.
How'd that go?
That was good.
Good.
It was good. Mandis was casting aspersions at us.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Said that we were bad-mouthing him.
Ah.
I think we kind of were, but I can't really remember what we were saying. We just said that he was
assassin man off the air.
Oh, yeah, he was a sneaky assassin. He was, yeah. Oh, there you go. Well, I stand by that.
Yeah.
I stand by that.
What's wrong with that?
I mean, he's as nice as can be, as American as mama and apple pie on the radio, but when he gets off the radio, wha-pow, cracks the whip.
Keeps people in order.
I don't feel guilty about that at all because I got Dan Mandis a good wasp man.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, he had some wasps.
Already?
That's what he said.
Well,
said he had a big wasp nest. There's Ken Weaver back in the newsroom, News Closet B to be specific.
Good afternoon, boys.
What's happening, Ken Weaver?
Man, I'm just making it happen over here, boy. We got a lot of news going on.
What you got over there?
Well, we got that Mahmoud Khalil, who the Trump administration says supports a terrorist group, Hamas, and deserves to be deported even though he has green card status. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to stay in jail. The judge today said, you're going to have to stay down there in Louisiana for a while.
Yeah.
Till we get all this squared away.
We're going to get you a little of that American due process and then send you on back home.
Some of that American due process, yes, sir.
You are due process.
And then we've got, here's how ABC News is calling him Leader Jeffries, the Democrat leader in the House, who is crying about that budget that was passed.
Oh, he doesn't like it very much?
Yeah, he says that's basically going to be the end of democracy.
Oh, well, that's right. That
Wah-wah.
I'm sorry, it makes me giggle. Everything's the end of democracy.
Everything's the end of democracy.
Every time they don't get their way. Have you noticed that when Democrats don't get their way, they tell you that democracy's over? Democracy is not two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. Right? That is mob rule. And Democrats, they don't even have the mob to rule.
Right.
I mean, even if they had the majority, that's not the way that our representative republic works. But they don't even have the majority, and they're still demanding that we do it their way.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to forget that the majority of voters did not swing their way.
Right.
And let's see, if it's not democracy that's ending, well, it's racist.
Well, it's democracy dies in darkness, and this is how democracy dies, and you're a I mean, you know, we were talking about this earlier today at the state capitol. There was a bit of a brouhaha going on yesterday, which I know you're well aware of, Ken, down at the Tennessee state capitol. A lot of folks were protesting this bill that was passed in the House of Representatives that would give school districts the ability to charge more for students that are illegal aliens, that are here in this country illegally. And this is a direct challenge to Plyler versus Doe, which was a Supreme Court case that was ruled on in the early 1980s, indicating that it was the obligation of the individual states to educate children regardless of their immigration status. And Tennessee wants to challenge that, and we'll talk about it. That is not anti-brown people. It's not anti-immigrant. It is pro-American and pro-Tennessee taxpayer. But yesterday, apparently, all of the representatives that I was speaking with, they said that man, these guys were traipsing up and down the halls, and they were yelling and screaming and just basically, you know, pitching a hissy fit, demanding that democracy look different than it looks for them in the Cordell Hull building, all coming to nothing. I mean, and it's interesting that I can't get every single Democrat in the Tennessee legislative body is invited on this radio show, every single one. And I will treat you with the respect that you deserve. And what that means is that we can have polite conversation until such point as you start treating me like Boo Boo the Clown. When you start treating me, and more importantly, the audience, like Boo Boo the Fool, then I'm going to have a problem with you. In other words, when you start lying, we've got to check you on that. When you start telling falsehoods, we've got to check you on that. When you start using subterfuge in order to hide your real purpose or your real intent, we're going to call you on that, but we can have a polite discussion about any of it. I will invite any of those folks on, whether it's Justin Jones or Heidi Campbell or Gloria Johnson, whoever it might be. Did not see Gloria today. Very disappointing. Although, I don't think I'm supposed to say this, but I will anyway. The Speaker of the House, I got a chance to sit in his office, Cameron Sexton. And he said, well, congratulations, Murphy. I said, what's that, Mr. Speaker? He said, well, you're somewhere that Gloria Johnson's never been, my office. I was like, well, okay. I mean, you know, I guess she don't want to come in. Anyway, we will, I'm sorry, I just got caught of something on the super text line is such a wonderful addition to the show. It can also be a distraction, but this is pretty funny. Sally says, so wait a minute. Dan, the assassin, needs somebody to kill wasps. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
He has a specific target that he's niched himself into.
7678 says, Gloria's so big, I'm surprised you didn't see her from the parking lot. Be nice. That's not.
Now.
Now. Let's not start casting aspersions. That's my job. That's come on. Let's not do all of that. There are plenty of ways to insult Gloria Johnson without downshifting to weight. Plenty of ways. I mean, she's tall. Very tall woman, I'm told. 615-737-9986 if you'd like to be a part of the show at any point during the proceedings today. You'll hear from Ken Weaver. You'll hear from Mason Fleming. You'll hear from me, and we'd love to hear from you as well. Hey, how old is Rosie O'Donnell? Because she looks pretty rough. I mean, once again, not casting aspersions on looks, because if you want to see rough, I'm right here on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch.
62.
Come on over. Boy, she's not. The last 5-6 years, man, Donald Trump's not been good for her.
No.
Maybe Ireland will be good for her, you know?
And
is that where she's
in
going?
Ireland.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful and warm, not physically. It's actually quite cold. moved here on January 15th.
It's warm, not warm, actually cold.
She's honest.
It's been
Notice what she said there. She moved January 15th, right?
pretty wonderful, I have to say.
Yeah.
The people are so loving and so kind, so welcoming, and I'm very grateful. I'm in the process of getting my Irish citizenship, as I have Irish grandparents, and
good for you, Rosie.
that's what's going on, and that's where I've been and what I've been doing. And although I was never someone who thought I would move to another country, that's what I decided would be the best for myself and my 12-year-old child. And here we are. Here we are. I miss my other kids.
No? Okay,
I
I
miss
guess there's more.
my friends. I miss
miss
many
everybody.
things
Yeah.
about life there at home. And I'm trying to find a home here in this beautiful country. And when,
Is that it? I guess that's not it.
it is safe for all citizens to have equal rights there in America, that's when we will consider coming back.
So,
Do we care?
nope. No, nobody cares. So, one thing she's not telling you, apparently she lost her house in the Malibu fire.
Oh,
She lost her house in the LA fire.
that's too bad.
Well, it's too bad. Well, I mean, I don't wish anybody to have their house burned down.
Yeah.
But you notice she didn't really mention that in this video. She is kind of having it both ways, where her house burned down. She had to move somewhere, so she decided to move to Ireland. Would she be over there if her house hadn't burned down? Somehow I doubt it. But she decided to do that. But, 1 + 1 doesn't necessarily equal 2. Number 2, the thing she said at the end there, this is a refrain that I hear often from liberals.
All citizens to have equal rights there in America, that's when we will consider coming back.
What citizens don't have equal rights? I mean, I am being as honest and open with you as possible. I am begging you to tell me what American citizens do not enjoy the same rights as other American citizens without those American citizens doing something to harm others, to deprive them of their own personal rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, what American citizens are denied equal rights based on, well, anything? Just
Not that I can think of.
What is she talking about? Is she talking about transgender people? My tag on this video, I put this video up on the X machine, and my tag was, how many genders in Ireland? Because that's what she's talking about, right?
Yeah.
I suppose she's talking about the fact that we refuse to say that there's 7,200 genders or whatever the hell they're telling us there are. And apparently, someone answered my question. I said, how many genders in Ireland? And one of my listeners looked it up, and apparently there are 72. I'm not making that up. I'm not. Ireland's new, I don't take credit for this. October 31st, 2024, a loyal listener of the Matt Murphy Show indicates that Ireland has brought a new hate crime bill into law, but leading Irish gay and feminist activists have said the new legislation was sloppily drafted and threatens free speech and places our rights at risk. I'm going to tell you about this because they, during the debate on the bill in the upper house of the our version of Congress, one of the senators there, Sharon Keoghan, Senator Sharon Keoghan, spent 25 minutes reading a list of 72 genders under which the bill would gain legal status under law. So apparently they want to have 72 genders in Ireland. So I hope, poor old number 73. Isn't that sad? They stopped at 72, and Mr. 73 or Mrs. 73 or Zimzer 73 or whatever pronouns they're using, they got left out in the cold. We'll talk about the departure of Rosie. What was Rosie's best movie? Anybody?
I don't know if I've ever seen a Rosie O'Donnell movie.
Oh, League of Their Own.
Oh yeah, League of
Their
Their
Own's
Own.
pretty good.
Well,
No crying in baseball.
according to her best movie is that she's a star from the Flintstones movie.
The Flintstones.
The Flintstones.
Oh, yeah, she was Betty Rubble in the Flintstones.
Yeah, she was.
Never saw those movies.
Yeah, I didn't either. Who was Wilma in that? I can't remember Wilma. I remember vaguely thinking that Wilma was hot. I never saw the film, but I remember the promotional videos for it, and I remember thinking that Wilma was hot. But
I thought the cartoon Wilma was hot.
The cartoon Wilma was hot, Ken. That's why you thought that, because you're a smart man. And Wilma was a hottie. Of course, I've always had a thing for the redheads.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Mrs. C. Miss Cunningham.
Mrs. C. You know, back in the day, I thought Mrs. C was kind of older, but that wasn't a bad thing, if you know what I'm saying.
No, not at all.
No. Seasoned. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was Elizabeth Perkins. Played Wilma.
Uh-huh. Yep. I like Elizabeth Perkins, too. She's not a natty redhead, but she'll do.
I don't know her. I'm going to have to look her up.
Look her up there. And Rick Moranis was Barney.
John Goodman as good old Fred.
Bonnie, we're not going to the ball game. We're going bowling, Barney. I'm with you, Fred. Barney was always down. Y'all,
everybody down with anything.
Everybody needs a wingman like Barney.
Yeah.
Fred could tell Barney they're going to kill a snitch. I'm with you, Fred.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Let's make it happen.
We're here for it.
Oh, man, I love that show.
Movie was so good that none of them returned for the second.
They were all out?
They were all out.
Well, they cashed their payday and went on their merry way, I suppose. 23 after the hour, we're going to do this. Speaking of paydays, we want you to listen to some of these fine commercial advertisements, and we'll be back in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The pro-Palestine protester jailed by ICE won't be deported for now, but he's still behind bars. We'll update you on that story and others at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you until 7 o'clock tonight. Would love to hear from you. 615-737-9986. We'll talk a bit about our journey down to Cordell Hull today with Men of Valor. It was a day on the Hill with Men of Valor. We talked about it earlier this morning. What a great group of folks, and I'm proud to be associated with their organization. And the graduates of Men of Valor were down on the Hill talking to lawmakers. And let me tell you, I was very impressed, particularly, with all of the lawmakers that we spoke with. But there was a moment where Representative Jeremy Faison, corrected one of the individuals, one of the graduates of the Men of Valor program that we were talking with, because that graduate, JD, I think that's right. John was his name, but everybody called him JB. He said, these men are so important. These guys are they're so important to the state of Tennessee. And Representative Faison corrected him, said, no, we all fall short. And in the eyes of the Lord, there's no difference between you and me and anybody else. It was a pretty special moment. We're going to share that with you a little bit later on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's time for Gary in Robertson County. Hey, Gary. Gary. Hey, Gary. Gary, you there? They lock you in the trunk. What's going on with you, Gary? Well, I can hear you driving, Gary. That's too bad. Gary, you call us back, and sorry that I had to hang up on you, but if you don't talk, well, we kind of have to go.
He might be on 24.
He might be. How's 24 doing? I heard you complaining about the traffic earlier today, Ken.
Yeah, we had some pothole fixing going on in the middle of the day. Blocking 2 left lanes. Going westbound.
I suppose here's the thing, Ken.
Maybe they got to do it during the day. I don't know. Maybe you can't fix potholes at night.
Well, maybe they're trying to do it during spring break when there are fewer cars on the road.
That's something to consider. Yes, sir.
So your suggestion / frustration is that maybe they should be doing that in the evening hours, overnights.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? There perhaps is a reasonable explanation as to why they don't. One way or the other, y'all stay over there on 24 and leave pothole-filled I-40 toward Mount Juliet alone. Thank you. I could name you a few. I've named them. I have little nicknames that I can't say on the radio for the potholes that I encounter on my way from Mount Juliet to the station.
Yeah.
And it's not pleasant. And I forget about them. I've learned some of them, and I know which lanes to get into. But some of them I forget. Every day I hit them, and every day I exclaim something, and that's their name. And it starts with a
fiddlesticks.
Yeah, and ends with a k. You know what I'm saying? 3:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's time for news, and we'll be back with your calls after this.
3:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. A federal judge in New York says former Columbia University student Mahmoud Khalil has to stay in a Louisiana detention facility for now. The Trump administration wants to deport Khalil, claiming his green card is void because he supports terrorism for leading pro-Palestinian protests on campus last year that were actually pro-Hamas, which the Trump administration says led to harassment of Jewish students. Critics say Khalil's case sets a concerning precedent, which violates his First Amendment rights to free speech. Karen Travers has the latest from President Trump's take on the Ukraine-Russia war today.
President Trump expressed optimism about the ceasefire deal reached between the U.S. and Ukraine, but says the ball is now in Russian President Vladimir Putin's hands.
We had a great success yesterday. We have a full ceasefire if it kicks in, but we have to see. It's up to Russia now.
The president said Tuesday he would likely talk to Putin this week. He again threatened economic punishment on Russia, but said he wouldn't do that because he wants to see peace.
In the first 50 days of the Trump administration, immigration officials claim they've arrested more than 14,000 convicted criminals, 9,800 migrants who have pending criminal charges, 1,155 suspected gang members, and 44 foreign fugitives. ICE also says it is maxed out on detention facilities with approximately 47,000 beds taken. An Indiana woman trapped for nearly 1 week inside her wrecked car. Her father says it's a miracle she was pulled out alive. Here's Lionel Moise.
41-year-old Brianna Castle was on the way to visit a friend when she fell asleep at the wheel. Her father says she stayed alive by dipping her sweatshirt into the water in that ditch.
And she was using her hoodie and wringing it to get a drink of water, trying to survive. And she was in excruciating pain.
6 long days passed until a man working for a drainage company spotted her car and called his boss, who happens to be the fire chief.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, Spring Hill, I'm seeing a crash blocking the right lane, 65 southbound right after 840. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and I want to spend a moment talking about your food game. I mean, do you feel good about it? Do you like what you got going on with your food? Or perhaps are you looking to up your food game? Friends, it is time. Great news with something new and exciting to talk about when it comes to Savory Spice. Now, they've been talking with some of their suppliers. They've reduced some of their cost, and they are passing the savings along to their customers. They have lowered prices on over 1/4 of all of their spices. In other words, 25% of the spices in Savory Spice have a lower price point. Prices are coming down at Savory Spice. That's good news. I love a company when they see savings passed along to them, they pass those savings along to their customers. And
go ahead.
As you know, Savory Spice is the one and only shop when it comes to your spice needs. You can get the Spice and Easy line of products. You can get any spice imaginable on the face of the earth at Savory Spice. It is the one-stop shop for all things cooking in Nashville, Tennessee. They're located just off the square, right next to Gray's Pharmacy. And I would love for you to stop by and say hello to Holly and David and take advantage of some of those incredible markdowns on their incredible line of spices. It's the one and only Savory Spice. Hello, friends. GracePoint Healthcare is your one-stop shop for all things healthcare in the market today. And I want to tell you a little bit about them. I want to tell you a telephone number, and I want to invite you to become a part of GracePoint Healthcare. GracePoint Healthcare is located in Franklin, and they do things a little bit differently. They call themselves modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. What does that mean? They are a direct pay provider, meaning that you don't have, while you don't have to sign up for anything to be a part of the GracePoint family, you also don't have to worry about insurance companies getting in your way when it comes to your health care. That's what it's all about at GracePoint Healthcare, and they're going to guarantee that you're going to be treated like family at GracePoint, and they'll also get you in same day or next day, which is something almost unheard of in the modern medicine world. Sadly, it is true. Call 599-6868 and ask them if you can get in today. And this is for first-time visitors as well to GracePoint. Also, if you sign up for the Smart Care plan, the basic Smart Care plan is $69 a month, and you get unlimited visits throughout the course of the year, plus basic labs and diagnostics. That's what it's all about. A price point that you can believe in, and an organization and a group of healthcare providers that have you in mind, first, second, and last. GracePoint Healthcare. Call them at 599-6868. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Matt Murphy. It is you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. 3:38. Going to get into some conversation that we engaged in a little bit earlier today. We were down at Cordell Hall. I invite you to go down. If you've never watched the sausage made, it's pretty fascinating. You can watch it by sliding on over to Cordell Hall. It's your building. They'll let you in. By the way, I had an interesting I think the Men of Valor folks told the state troopers down at the security checkpoint that I was coming. You know, you have to go through security. They want you to go through security to make sure you're not bringing in anything into the Cordell Hall building, whatever. And, you know, my expectation has always been as follows. I am willing to go through a security checkpoint if you have made arrangements to make sure that I am secure without protecting myself through my own Second Amendment rights, if that makes any sense to you, right? If I give that right up to self-protection, then I have every expectation that you're going to be protecting me. In the case, in case the proverbial poo hits the proverbial fan. But in this case, you know, I understand that you have to go through metal detectors and security to get into the Cordell Hall building to visit your legislator, your senator, or to watch as they attempt to make legislation, committee rooms and whatnot. And I'm standing in line waiting to go through the security, and there's, you know, probably, I don't know, 6, 8 of Tennessee's finest state troopers in uniform there manning the security gate, getting people, cycling people through the security. And one of the gentlemen who was there from across the room pointed at me and said, are you Matt Murphy? And I told him the same thing that I'll tell you now, that the answer to that question now at the age of 51 is real different than it would have been when I was 25 years of age if a police officer asked me that question. But I answered yes. I answered in the affirmative. And he said, oh, you need to go around. And I was like, oh, well, that's nice. But folks knew I was coming. Anyway, we had a great time down there. And I appreciate all of the kindness shown by the legislature for Men of Valor, and we'll talk about that coming up in just a moment. Gary, I think you're back. Hello, Gary.
Yes, sir, and I apologize. I left my vehicle and ran back and was too late.
Oh, it's all good, Gary. We got it going on right now. What's happening with you?
Well, I was thinking about Rosie O'Donnell and her trip to Ireland, where she's now in exile, and because she's, concerned that, there are no civil rights anymore in the country. And then it finally occurred to me, she's upset at what happened to the January 6ers who had their rights taken from them.
Well, you think she woke up to that idea that the Jan 6 guys got screwed over?
I think that has to be it. And it was too upsetting. And then Trump decided he's going to take care of all the rights for everyone, and apparently he did too good of a job, and she couldn't handle it because Biden couldn't fix it.
Well, maybe so. Perhaps she is standing alongside those poor J6ers who had their rights stripped away from them, political persecution and all. Maybe that's it. Somehow, though, Gary, I doubt that's where she's coming from. But, I could be wrong. Could be wrong.
You're right. Well, the thing, though, is the Prime Minister of Ireland this morning, he didn't even know who she was.
Well, I mean, most Americans don't either, right?
Yeah, I didn't even know about the Flintstone movie. Heck, if I'd known, I might have wanted to see her, overweightness playing that part.
Yeah, I think she lost a few lbs. Thank you, Gary, for the call. I think she lost a few lbs to play Betty Rubble, but you know what? My memory's a strange thing. That was like 30-some-odd years ago. Believe it or not, it was in 1994. And 1994 is over 30 years ago now, which is kind of hard to say, but true. I was sophomore, junior in college. No, Rosie was concerned about the rights of other people, saying that she would come back to the United States of America when everyone had equal rights. Just Rosie O'Donnell, this is what she said. Well, I can't share with you right now what she said because I don't have Mason in the studio. My apologies. So, Rosie O'Donnell said that she'll come back to the United States of America when every American citizen has equal rights again, to which I say, what American citizen doesn't have equal rights right now? Who exactly? What American has a right to go into a bathroom if you are born male where there are female children present? Is that some sort of human right that liberals are arguing about now? If that is the case, then perhaps I missed the memo. Maybe that's so, and I missed it. I'll give her credit, though. I mean, at very least, you know what? I understand a fire destroyed her house, and, that's all. That is what it is. I mean, sometimes bad things happen to bad people. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. I think I said it right the first time. And Rosie's using that as a reason to go ahead and leave the country. Good for her. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody cares. That's the whole thing. These elitist entertainers in Hollywood, California, seem to believe that people actually care. And they, it's not. You don't have to announce your departure. It's not an airport. Just leave. Goodbye, and you can live wherever you want. Congratulations. By the way, I find it fascinating that Rosie O'Donnell is rich enough as a beneficiary of the blessings of freedom and liberty in the United States of America. She is rich enough that she has the ability to move at her whim to another country, which I don't imagine is very cheap. And all of that is thank you very much due to the blessings of the United States of America. And a lot of people don't have that ability, but you know what? Rosie says to hell with it and to hell with them. Okay.
I also thought it was interesting that she said she moved there and was working on her citizenship. She didn't say she had it yet. She's working on it.
I don't know. It's a curious thing. I don't know how Irish citizenship works.
I don't either.
I guess you have to have some sort of bloodline because she mentioned that her grandparents were Irish.
That's the only workaround that I could see her working with.
I would love to know. I would absolutely love to know what the immigration policy in Ireland was, because I guarantee you they're not just letting anybody come in.
Oh, absolutely not.
Like the liberals would expect for us to. Ireland brought a new hate crime bill into law, according to this article that I was given by an alert listener. But leading Irish gay and feminist activists are now saying the new legislation was drafted sloppily and threatens free speech and places our rights at risk. This was just this past October. The Criminal Justice Act, which Irish President Michael D. Higgins, hello, Michael D. Higgins, signed into. I don't know if that's an Irish. I don't know what that is. I really don't.
That's pretty good, Brother Murphy.
I have no idea what that is. Fair the Magora to you. I'm Michael Higgins here.
That's close enough than anything I could ever do.
Let's sally forth to the bar then.
Give me a good old top of the morning.
Top of the morning to you. Michael Higgins here. Let's have ourselves a Guinness.
I'll go for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Right now.
How about a Scotch egg and a Guinness? Oh, look at there. There's Kenneth Weaver. He's got the newscast coming up in 13 minutes or so. It'll slide all over the place. It'll become Cockney at some point, whatever.
Somewhere, it's close enough.
Michael Higgins signed this into law October 29th. A defined gender. Listen, this is what happens when you try to deny science and you base crap like this on feelings. Listen to this. The Criminal Justice Act, which Irish President Michael Higgins signed into law October 29th, defines gender as, quote, the gender of a person or the gender which a person expresses as the person's preferred gender or with which the person identifies and includes transgender and a gender other than those of male and female. I am not making that up. I'm going to say it again. I am sad to say I love Ireland. Ireland is a wonderful place. Ireland, I've been to Ireland. I want to go back as soon as humanly possible. But my goodness gracious, this level of wokeism. They defined a gender as, listen to it again now, the gender of a person or the gender which a person expresses as the person's preferred gender or with which the person identifies and includes transgender and a gender other than those of male and female. A what, huh? Anag Birdie, co-founder of Not All Gays, I don't know what that organization is, told Brussels Signal, many lesbian, gay, and bisexual citizens are concerned that this rushed and poorly defined legislation will undermine our rights and the clarity of legal protection moving forward. During debate on the bill in the upper house of the legislative body, Senator Sharon Keoghan spent 25 minutes reading a list of 72 genders which, under the bill, would gain legal status under the law. Embedding these vague, self-declared identities into law, said Birdie, will invariably erode protections for those with clear, observable characteristics. Oh, you think? Herein lies the problem. If you get to be anything you want to be and I don't get to say anything about it, then who's to say you're not a bird or a cat or a rock or a whale? It's ridiculous. What is a woman? An adult female human. What is a man? An adult male human. It's not that hard. And if you are floating between one and the other, you are an outlier and should be treated nobody's going to treat you lesser than. You just have to understand society's not built for you. Never has been, never will be. That's not me hating on you. That's me and you accepting reality. Rosie does not accept reality. 72 is the magic number. 72 separate identifiable genders under Irish law. Congratulations, Rosie O'Donnell. You finally found your way into a truly inclusive society. Once again, I still maintain that you cannot identify to me what group of people are having their equal rights violated in the United States of America. And I'll wait on that. In a moment, we're going to have an update on, we've been talking about the Columbia University student. Obviously, this pro-Hamas fella is still in jail in Louisiana. We'll give you an update on that. I'm sure you've been listening to some of those updates throughout the course of the day out of the newsroom on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Legal experts are now slamming the characterization of this being a free speech issue. If it were a free speech issue, you might run into a few problems. It is an issue of aligning oneself with a terrorist organization against and in violation of your prearranged legal status in the United States of America. That's what it's all about. It's 51 after the hour. Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Stinky, stinky, stinky. When's the last time you went into an auto repair shop? Did it stinky, 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 smelly, greasy old rags lying around, a countertop that you wouldn't dare touch? Well, if this is the case, another thing that stinks in that auto shop is probably the fact that they keep your car forever. They're not honest. They don't call you back when they say that they will. Was that your last experience? If so, you need to get over to Eurofix. It's Matt Murphy to talk to you about Eurofix. Eurofix takes the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection and an estimate at every visit with no high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a three-year nationwide warranty on the job and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. That's what it's all about. Never pay dealer prices. Pay Eurofix prices, which are much less than dealer prices. They have 5 locations. Eurofix is in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX. Or visit myeurofix.com. myeurofix.com.
Now it's the Democrats threatening a government shutdown. I've got that and more coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, yeah, it's the big question, and I'm glad Ken Weaver's asking it. Will they or won't they? So the continuing resolution, for what it's worth, it's not a great deal, but it is what it is. This is not Donald Trump's budget. This is a budget that was supposed to be done last September. The legislature, the Congress of the United States of America, I should say, they kicked the can down the road. They did not do their job. They did not do the 12 separate appropriations bills back in September. And so we have this huge omnibus, manifestation sitting in front of us, and they kicked the can just a little bit, and then they kicked the can after Christmas, and then they kicked the can to March, and now here we are. And by this Friday, we got to have something done. Well, the House of Representatives said, okay, we will kick the can to September under the promise and the premise that they won't kick the can anymore after that. Well, I've been hearing that for a hell of a long time. Haven't you? I'm about tired of hearing it. I am about this close to going all Thomas Massey on all of these people. About this close. But Donald Trump asked nicely. He really did. On Truth Social, Donald Trump said, please. Will you please pass this bill? Will you please give us an opportunity to right-size government? Will you please allow us to continue to identify those billions and billions of dollars that are necessary to facilitate the cuts that will get us toward, not at, but toward a balanced budget? And we need time to do that. Where are you on that? Are you willing to give Donald Trump that time? Or are you ready to go all Thomas Massey on all of them? I'm this close. But I will say this. At this stage of the proceedings, I'm not giving you any more grace. Do the 12 separate bills so shutdown is always off the table and you can adjust spending downward, whether it's 1%, 2%, 5%, I don't care. Do 12 separate bills, stop funding programs through an omnibus spending package, and pass a budget, not a continuing resolution. That's the standard moving forward. And the Democrats have to decide whether they're going to shut government down this Friday or not. And if they do, it's all on them. And there's no way around it. All the media will try to spin them out of it. Here comes the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, now it's the Democrats threatening to allow the federal government to shut down. Here's their leader in the U.S. Senate, Chuck Schumer.
Funding the government should be a bipartisan effort, but Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input from congressional Democrats.
Now, the deadline is the end of Friday. Republicans control 53 Senate seats but need 60 votes to defeat a filibuster. A federal judge in New York says former Columbia University student and anti-Israel protest organizer Mahmoud Khalil has to stay in a detention center in Louisiana for now. Today was the first hearing since his arrest by ICE last weekend. The judge blocked the Trump administration from deporting him over what Secretary of State Marco Rubio says was a clear threat to national security.
This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way.
Aaron Katersky.
There's a real question before we even get to the merits of whether he should have been arrested, whether his case should be heard here in New York, where he lived, in New Jersey, where he was taken immediately after his arrest, or in Louisiana, where he's now being held. The government would prefer to move it out of New York.
Critics say Khalil's case sets a concerning precedent which violates his First Amendment rights to free speech. Speaking of deportation, in the first 50 days of the Trump administration, immigration officials claim they've arrested more than 14,000 convicted criminals, 9,800 migrants who have pending criminal charges, 1,155 suspected gang members, and 44 foreign fugitives. ICE also says it is maxed out on detention facilities with approximately 47,000 beds taken. Here in Tennessee, a bill to increase the penalty for fake rideshare drivers is advancing in the General Assembly. It comes amid a growing number of people pretending to be Lyft, Uber, or cab drivers to get you inside, then charge you exorbitant fees and not let you out until you pay. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Cabs say you should always check the car has a decal, meter, top light, and driver's permit in the window to make sure it's a real taxi. And that's exactly what people like Tammy Daly do. She says she's heard of people impersonating Lyfts, so today when she got in one, double-checked their name and then tracked their route as they drove to Broadway.
I'm always just very uber cautious. Like when you open up the door, the driver should say your name. That's how you know it's your car, and making sure that the information matches the app. It's a white car, the license plate, and usually it's right, so.
She said she'd feel even more comfortable in ride shares if there was a harsher law that deterred impersonators.
Now, this new bill increases jail time up to 6 months and a $500 fine anyone caught pretending to be a rideshare driver. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we got a long list of problems. Let's get right to it. Berry Hill, police reporting a crash 440 eastbound at I-65. Then in Antioch, a crash blocking the off-ramp partially 24 eastbound to Haywood Lane. And then looks like Wilson County, Lebanon, we've got 840 after Couchville Pike. Fairview in Williamson County, a truck is overturned. It's off to the side, but crews are busy there. That's Highway Patrol on the scene. I-40 eastbound at the Fairview-Dixon Highway 96, exit 182. In Antioch, we've got, I've already told you that, the eastbound off-ramp partially blocked to Haywood Lane there from 24 eastbound. Back to Williamson County in Spring Hill. Got a crash, right lane block, 65 southbound after 840. And in Wilson County, we've got a stalled vehicle off on the shoulder. This is where they're still trying to clean up from that earlier vehicle fire. That's going to be 40 westbound at Lebanon Road. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, and we're cranking up hour number 2 right now, 408, almost 409. Thank you for being around with us. Whatever time you're able to give, we're certainly appreciative of that. You may turn a monologue into a dialogue by dialing us up at 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. Telephone lines are always open and available for you during the Matt Murphy portion of the broadcast day. You can also hit us up on the Super Text line. That's open at the same number, 615-737-9986. I don't believe I got the show started in the proper fashion. I've been discombobulated and all over the map all day today. It's episode 768 on today's show. You can find us, obviously, on your radio, 99.7 FM. You can find us anywhere you download an app that streams music or news or information. If you type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN on that app, like Spotify, for example, iHeart's another example. There's many others. We're there, and you take us wherever you go. We have our own app. Download our app in your app store and go ahead and take us that way. Or there's Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch is up and running. You're invited to like and subscribe to us. And it is my understanding that there is a cost associated with it. What is the cost associated with liking and subscribing?
I believe that's a Ken Weaver question.
Absolutely nothing, boys.
The man says absolutely nothing. So, I mean, there you go. I mean, free today. I can't say how long it's going to be free, but it's free for you and free for me as we speak. So there's a question that has been posed, and it is in relation to Mahmoud Khalil. And we had this discussion a couple of days ago, and when we first started talking about Mahmoud Khalil, it was a debate about what constitutes free speech and what constitutes an individual stirring up a riot and what constitutes aiding and abetting an enemy of the United States of America, a declared enemy of the United States. And it is clear that the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, the Trump administration more broadly, has determined that Mahmoud Khalil has attempted to aid and abet an enemy of the United States of America in our own country. And this is in violation of his permanent resident visa or his student visa. Doesn't really matter. And he needs to leave. He needs to be booted out. Now, my argument yesterday and my argument remains that in the United States, if someone is already granted a permanent resident visa, you're going to allow them due process. And that due process is working itself out right now. And I believe the end result will be that the Trump administration will make its argument in front of a judge in good standing with the court system, and that judge will determine that Khalid, or whatever his name is, Mahmoud Khalil, needs to get the hell out of here. This brings up a broader conversation, and we had some of that yesterday, about why in the world we are allowing individuals that seem to hate our country into the United States. The Wall Street Journal had an interesting editorial piece on this, and they posed the question in a slightly different way, equally intriguing. Why do these people want to come here? Why in the world do you want to come to a country that you seem to hate so much? As written in the Journal, the arrest and threatened deportation of pro-Hamas Colombia agitator Mahmoud Khalil has exposed an often overlooked nuance in the immigration debate. Not everyone is a poor, hungry, huddled mass, as the Statue of Liberty says. As a matter of fact, some of the hungry, poor, and huddled masses who come to this country don't yearn to be free. Some of them just come over to mess with us and to hate on us. And why are we allowing those people here? Americans, and I would include myself in this number, I mean, in certain circles, I understand why we are hated. Countries that don't value freedom hate us because we present something different to the people of the world, to human existence. And that is an existence where you can chart your own course and your own destiny without depriving the others among you and around you of their own life, liberty, and their own pursuit of happiness. In certain corners of the world, like North Korea or China, anti-Americanism is obvious. It is blatant, and it is almost on the level of brainwashing. And the feeling is kind of mutual. I mean, we don't really like North Korea very much either. We don't really care for countries that don't care for freedom. Not the people so much. I mean, you feel bad for the people for the most part, but oftentimes, sadly, the people are not ready for freedom either. They've been so controlled for so long, they don't understand the liberty. You know, one of the reasons that I agreed with the concept of getting out of Afghanistan 10 years ago, not 3 years ago, 10 years ago, was a recognition that the people of Afghanistan were not ready or did not fully and fundamentally understand what responsibilities went along with the freedoms that we enjoy in the United States of America. They were not ready for it. I can't make them ready for it. I'm not saying they're lesser than. I'm just saying they're not ready for it. But this begs the question, if America is so awful, if America is so unequitable, if America is so imperial, if America is so racist, if America is so whatever, well then, why in the hell do you want to come here? Mahmoud Khalil came to the United States of America supposedly to study in college. And as the Wall Street Journal notes, many of the most anti-American immigrants are here to study at our colleges and universities. Some marry U.S. citizens. All make full use of America's unique freedoms while running down the country every chance they get. Mr. Khalil checks all of these boxes. He's a perpetual student, has a nice little preppy wardrobe, a revolutionary zealot, an American wife. As a graduate student organizer during the campus anti-Israel protest last year, he enjoyed more freedoms than he ever would have in Syria, where he was reportedly born, or in Lebanon, where he reportedly went to undergraduate school before applying to graduate school at Columbia, and they just readily agreed to accept him. Outside of that, we don't know a lot about Khalil's background. We don't know where he's from or what he was doing when he was over there. We know that he's now in his 30s, and he remains a student. But I think it is a fair question that doesn't involve any level of bigotry whatsoever. If you hate the United States of America, as I said yesterday, and the Wall Street Journal editorial piece today kind of trampolines off of my statement. I'm not saying they trampolined off mine, but you get it. One of the prerequisites to coming to the United States of America ought to be a love of our country. And there should be some sort of test or examination demonstrating that you love the United States of America, you appreciate the values of the United States of America, and you are ready to assimilate into our society in a manner that benefits the American people. Why in the world would we allow people to bring their values from countries that they hate over here and begin the process of changing our values into theirs? I thought you were running away from something. But sadly, you and I both know the answer, that many of these folks seem to be bringing something with them, and we're watching it happen in the UK right now, friends. We are watching the United Kingdom get dismantled before our very eyes in terms of their rich heritage and their history and the basic fabric and underpinnings of their belief in, and they have their own beliefs in freedoms and liberties and their own pursuit of happiness. And I would not suggest that sadly, the British people don't have the protections that we have, and we've watched that erode. Thank God for the founding fathers that they wrote the Bill of Rights. Thank God that they argued, and I mean that sincerely, thank God that they argued that it would not be taken on face value that anything not written down in the Constitution was obviously a right or a freedom that was not to be disturbed or trampled on by our government. Thank goodness that they decided we better write this stuff down. We better write down that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. We better write down that they're not allowed to trample on our right to bear arms. We better write down that they're not allowed to quarter themselves in our homes, and they're not allowed to arrest us and throw us in jail without due process under the law. Because if you don't, sadly, the government that you get slowly but surely encroaches on those Right. Well, we do write them down and we do believe in them, but sadly, a lot of these folks that we're allowing in here, it just doubles down on my assertion to you, friends, that we better clamp down on immigration, not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. And why are we not? I called for, and many smarter people than me have called for, a moratorium on all immigration. Tell me why we can't do this. Oh, I understand that there might be some people in process that might get caught up in it. I understand that there are some good people that will be delayed from coming into the country. I get all of those things. I understand that some businesses might miss out on the opportunity to hire the next, Indian protege or whatever it might be and bring them over to this country on a work visa. I get that. But isn't the broader issue more important right now, that we shut down the Mahmoud Khalils of the world, who seems to have come to this country with hatred of it in his heart only to cause trouble and to stir up animosity and hatred in advance of a terrorist organization, a designated terrorist organization? Why should the United States of America, why should we tolerate immigrants that don't like the United States of America? Why should we tolerate individuals that come into this country and suckle from the teat of freedom, all the while criticizing freedom? Why are we allowing these people to stay in our country? There is nothing that says that we have to continue immigration in this way. Yet, if you talk in the manner in which I am right now, you are called a xenophobe. It is said that you are just an ist of some sort, a race-ist or a this-ist or a xenophobe or something along those lines, or you just don't like people from other parts of the world. I want people in the United States that first and foremost benefit the United States of America. And I don't believe that there's anything wrong with creating an immigration policy that reflects that. As it was put in the Journal, gratitude isn't required, but it isn't unwelcome either. When you're a guest, it's more than bad manners to cheer the slaughter of the friends of your host. If I invite you into my home, it's a little bit rude for you to start busting up the place and telling me everything that I'm doing wrong and everything that you insist that I change. Maybe I'll just ask you to leave and tell you to have a nice day. We tend to think of all immigrants in the same fashion as they came over to the United States of America in the 1880s and 1890s and 1900s. Bold people, brave people who didn't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of, coming over here with nothing but the money in their pocket and a dream. And that's all well and good, and that's wonderful to think about. But let me tell you something. These folks coming over today, some of them don't have any love of America in their hearts. They are here to do one thing, to take advantage. And I don't think there's anything wrong with suggesting that it's time that we stop being taken advantage of. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? 615-737-9986. Would love to hear from you. 615-737-9986. It's the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, friends, there's one individual that I would recommend when it comes to your pest control. It is, well, J.K. and Erica Brister. They're the owners of U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest can help you with all manner of pest control, and now's the time of year to get it done, right? They have full-service pest control involving spiders and stink bugs and ants and roaches and so much more. 100% money-back guarantee for that. Common Tennessee pests like termites or brown recluse spiders, ticks, and fire ants, they're coming out. It's the season. It is bug season in Tennessee. And officially, you need to get U.S. Pest out to your house to help protect your home and protect your family. Termite protection is always something to consider, and I would invite you to call U.S. Pest in that regard. If you're concerned about termite issues in your home, get some peace of mind through U.S. Pest. Plus, they offer crawl space service as well. Now, I've been telling you that if you switch from one to another, they're providing that first service call for free to you. That's a $200 value. Ask them about it when you contact U.S. Pest. Go to uspest.com. That's uspest.com, or call 590-1260, 590-1260, and tell them Matt Murphy sent you to U.S. Pest.
Senate Democrats say they're united and will not vote for the House-passed continuing resolution to avoid a government shutdown. This story and more at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy. 28 minutes after the hour. On the, just to repeat, because someone asked me on the super text line to repeat what I said, on the budgetary front, we'll get back to immigration in just a sec. 12 separate bills so that you can't put shutdown on the table every time you can't get something passed or you have an impasse. If you do 12 separate bills, the possibility of having 12 separate bills not pass the Congress of the United States is very remote. That gives you a better opportunity to shave money off of these individual pieces of legislation to get us more in balance, whether it's 1% or 5% or whatever it might be. And then you quit funding the programs that DOJ is exposing and you move on from there. 12 separate bills. That should be the least of our expectations moving forward from a budgetary perspective. That's what I said about that. All right, immigration. Why are we not resetting immigration in this country to benefit the United States of America first and foremost, and keeping some of these folks that clearly do not have an appreciation for our country out of our country? George is first up out of Mount Juliet. George, thanks for the call. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad. I'm sorry. You kind of caught me in line.
No, it's all good, George. You need to, I'll tell you what, I can put you on hold and I can come back to you. You want me to do that?
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, George is, he's in line. What do you think? What do y'all think George is getting?
Maybe that new gold immigration card.
Oh, yeah,
that
okay.
Might be too
Gold
much.
immigration. I was thinking George is getting some catfish for dinner. That's what I think George is getting.
Where's a good catfish place that you think you'd be at?
I don't know. You're going to have to ask George.
That's
I
fair.
don't know.
That's fair.
I'm not getting
We'll ask him
catfish.
later.
George was getting something. He was in line. George, good luck to Ken Weaver heard catfish. And there he is.
Yeah, I could go for some of that.
Oh, man, fried catfish.
Ooh. Fried catfish. I mean, wash it down with real cold beer. Real cold beer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so cold you got to put a paper towel on the bottom.
It's got a little frost. Yeah, it's got a little frost on the outside of the glass. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's icing up on you.
Yes,
29 degrees cold.
Yes, sir.
James and Greg and Ricky and George, y'all hang in there. I'm going to get a beer. Ken's doing the news. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. The top Senate Democrat says just a few days to the deadline to avoid a federal government shutdown.
Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate to invoke cloture on the House CR. Our caucus is unified on a clean April 11th CR that will keep the government open and give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass.
But even if Republicans in the Senate were interested, the House is on recess. Not due back until a week from Monday. A Senate stalemate could lead to a Friday night shutdown. Trump administration can't deport former Columbia University student and anti-Israel protest organizer Mahmoud Khalil yet. But the federal judge on the case today says he's going to stay behind bars in Louisiana for now. Here's Aaron Katursky.
He didn't actually do anything other than demonstrate with hundreds of others at Columbia University. Of course, the administration sees it quite differently. They believe that he's inciting Hamas rhetoric, and they find that a danger to national security. But its lawyers say that there's just no evidence of that.
Well, the Trump administration says Khalil helped fuel harassment of Jewish students on the campus at Columbia University. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says cutting half of the Department of Education workforce will not disrupt critical services.
These cuts are a promise made and a promise kept. There is no reason that we should be spending more than most developed countries in the world, and our education system is failing.
Alex Brachet.
You're looking at cuts specifically to two main sections. That's the Office of Civil Rights and also federal student aid. Now, the Secretary McMahon, has said that federal student aid, you're not going to see any gaps in service for financial aid for college students. You think about all those college applicants applying for FAFSA. She's saying that that will still be on track.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Glencliff, crash blocking the right shoulder 24 eastbound at Briley Parkway. In Lebanon, you got a stalled vehicle, right shoulder block 40 westbound at exit 238. Antioch, a crash, off-ramp partially blocked 24 eastbound to Haywood Lane. Near the airport, we've got debris in the road, according to TDOT. That's going to be 40 eastbound right there before Briley Parkway. Crash, off-ramp partially blocked, 440 eastbound off-ramp to Nolensville Pike. And then an overturned truck in Williamson County. It's off to the side, but crews are still clearing it up. It's 40 eastbound at exit 182. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I knew this about myself. I did not need to lose my hair. I've got a very lumpy head. God has not blessed me with a nice round head, but thankfully, He's allowed me to keep my hair. But I wanted to make sure, and so I went to PAI Medical. If you're not sure, if you feel like you might be thinning on the back end or, that widow's peak, as they call it, you need to get to PAI Medical as well. They are the We Grow Hair people. I did the laser treatment, the PRP laser treatment, in and out in 45 minutes, and after a few sessions, I was told I was right as rain, and I didn't have to worry about hair loss on the back of my head. Friends, whether it's laser treatment or the ARTIST robotic FUE procedure or the multi-unit hair grafting procedure, simply put, the We Grow Hair people understand how to best treat your hair issue, and they can help you out. You don't have to worry about it. Procedures are done right here locally. They can help men and women, not just with surgery and not just for men. I want you to call We Grow Hair today. The number, 615-376-6010. That's 376-6010, or go to WeGrowHair.com. That's WeGrowHair.com. You can grow your hair back successfully through We Grow Hair.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
All right, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy, 38 after the hour. Cruising through a Wednesday edition. We'll share some of the sit-down visits that we had at the Cordell Hull building earlier today, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. This was with regard to the Day on the Hill with Men of Valor that I was a part of. It was a wonderful event this morning, and we'll share some of that with you coming up in just a couple of minutes. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. In the meantime, hopefully George has gotten out of line. George, we were speculating as to what you were buying. I guessed catfish. Was I right?
No, I'm so sorry. I usually don't get through that quick, and I thought that would come in after the 4:30 news, so I thought I was buying bird food.
Bird feed?
Yeah, for my wife. She likes to feed the birds.
Oh, that's awesome. My wife likes to feed the groundhogs.
I don't usually buy catfish because I fish a lot now that I'm retired, and I catch my own catfish.
Yes.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about, George. I like to hear that. What's on your mind on the immigration front?
I think that I don't know that they need to do a moratorium on it, but they screen these people in other countries before they give them visas, do they not?
I mean, we're told that they do.
Well, and that's where it needs to start at, maybe the questionnaire or the application that you apply for to get a visa to come here needs to have some more stringent questions, or they need to, but I'm sure that what's happened is there's somebody that was not elected that was probably appointed over there doing that, and they don't really care, and they have a different agenda than the people from the current administration. But I also wanted to say I'm really glad that you got this time slot, because out of all the people that they've had on this radio station as talk show host, I most identify with the outlook that you have on politics. I feel it's more of a libertarian type, not a staunch conservative or just a lockstep Republican, and I really appreciate that.
Well, George, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for listening, and go feed those birds, buddy.
Now, if you get a day off, let me know. We'll go fishing.
Go a little catfishing. Listen. I love bottom feeders. I love bottom feeder fishing. That's my kind of thing. I don't fish a lot. George, I'll be honest with you. Weaver, do you fish?
Yes.
Do you? I don't fish a lot. I will drink on a boat. I mean, I'll do that.
I catch bass and catfish with those little bangers, those little wieners. Little bitty smokies.
Wait
I
a minute.
catch bass and catfish off the bottom with those things.
You don't use the Vienna sausages?
No, I eat those.
Well, okay. See, I would go the other way. I was going to say, I'd use the Viennas.
Well, they're not strong enough to stay on the hook when you cast.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They'll break up on you. Processed.
Fling it in the air, you got a Vienna sausage falling on your head.
I'll tell you what, I didn't think much of my stepfather very much back in the day. He was he's kind of a weird cat. But one thing he did do, he was a bass fisherman, and he won a lot of bass tournaments, won a lot of trophies, had a lot of them displayed in the room there. But he would take us fishing, and we would go carp fishing.
Yeah.
And we would bottom feed. I mean, the carps are bottom feeders too.
They can get big.
And they can get huge. And we would throw, you'd hook the fishing poles to the boat. You tie them to the boat.
Yeah.
But he would use corn, whole kernel corn, and put corn on the hook. I mean, just put as much corn on the hook as you can feed on that hook. And just throw that to the bottom. And you just wait, boy. And when they hit it, you better jump on that darn rod and reel, and you better get ready.
Yeah.
Because they'll take you on a ride. And we never ate them because they're so bony.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, there are plenty of people at the old bait and tackle shop that wanted to have them.
Yeah. My mom and dad and I, whenever I go home to Tulsa, my dad's got a buddy, halfway in between Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And we go to his pond. We release them. Because we like catching them over and over again, because the good thing about it is they're bigger the next year.
That's exactly right. Oh, they get bigger. They do. No, I look, I haven't been fishing in a long time. But, George, that's a nice invite.
It is.
Ken Weaver might take you up on that. Maybe Matt Murphy, too. You never know. Thank you, George, for the call. James is next in Dixon talking about green cards. Hello, James. How are you?
Great. I
actually, dog food wasn't real good for catfish too.
Yeah.
But the protester that they've got in, my question is, he's in his 30s, he's married, going to college, and evidently doesn't have time for a job if he's able to protest. I'm just kind of curious, who's paying the bill for him? Is this his rich family, or maybe do we need to doge him? And I'll hang up and listen to your response.
Thank you, James. That's a good question. One, I don't know that he's still in school. I think he is now out of school, and there was some question as to whether or not he actually graduated from the graduate program at Columbia. So he is not in the country on a student visa any longer. Number two, he is apparently married to a resident of the United States of America, which is the manner in which he got his permanent resident card or his green card. The State Department has pulled the first visa. And let me just read to you from the report that I pulled up. Legal experts slammed a recent left-wing narrative that the Immigration and Custom Enforcement arrest of a pro-Hamas activist who led protests at Columbia University is an attack on the First Amendment, saying that the case is rooted in national security concern and that the immigration law supports the Trump administration effort to deport the agitator. The State Department has pulled the first visa of a foreign student who engaged in pro-Hamas disruption. It's the right thing to do if we want to fix college campus culture, according to the Director of Constitutional Study at the Conservative Manhattan Institute. While the government cannot send foreigners to jail for saying things it does not like, it can and should deny or pull visas for those who advocate or for causes that are antithetical to the United States of America. There's nothing objectionable or controversial about removing those who harass, intimidate, vandalize, and otherwise interfere with an educational institution's core mission. Pro-Hamas activist Mahmoud Khalil was taken into ICE custody a few days ago. The Department of Homeland Security said that he was a former, underlined former, Columbia graduate student who, quote, led activities aligned with Hamas, which is a designated terrorist organization. Khalil reportedly graduated with a master's degree from Columbia in December of 2024 and has helped lead the anti-Israel protests that plagued the campus in April of 2024, included as a negotiator for radical agitators students on campus as they set up a tent encampment and took over an academic building. He served as the leader of the group called Columbia United Apartheid Divest, which demanded Columbia completely divest from Israel amid the country and their war with Hamas that began with Hamas attacking Israel, obviously. I don't know that that answers your question, but I now see in that answer where he's reportedly graduated, but he is also married. But there's nothing that prevents the United States. Once again, due process means you go before a court, you present the evidence in front of a judge, and the judge makes a ruling. And if the evidence is what the United States says it is, he will clearly be deported. Now, my position was always, if it is a free speech matter, if it is not a matter of inciting a riot or investing time in aiding and abetting a Hamas organization, that's a different thing. We talked about free speech 2 nights ago. Last night, we talked about the ability for the United States to deport this guy up until and after due process for his permanent resident visa. And in addition to that, I think we need to look at what we are doing with these permanent resident visas and perhaps pull back on the idea of allowing anyone and everything to come into this country without showing a demonstration of some level of fealty to the United States of America. Ricky is next up. Ricky, thanks for the call. How are you?
Hi, I really enjoy, your libertarian view and not, extremely right view. So I really appreciate that.
Well, thanks, Ricky. I appreciate you.
I echo the George view, actually, I've not seen that before. Actually. So, and second thing I wanted to make sure, I feel like immigration should be need-based. Okay? What we need to either grow or fulfill what we are deficient. That ought to be the goal of immigration rather than blanket immigration for everybody and anybody. Because, people who are bringing some technology which is not available in this country or people would do the job in farming, etc., which difficult to get people with. That ought to be the major source of immigration in this country rather than for everybody. That's what I think, Pat.
Well, Ricky, let's put it this way. I believe that first and foremost, we need to make sure that whomever is immigrating to the United States of America is going to be good for the United States of America. That should be first. You know, sadly, we've lost to this idea that we should require that whatever immigrant comes here is going to benefit the United States. And I don't see anything wrong with that being a part of the requirement process, like you just said.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it, Ricky. I know you're dead on it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing that's anti-immigration in it. There's nothing that's anti-immigrant in it to suggest that you should demonstrate a love of the United States of America and our values. More so than just applying for and receiving a student visa just because and anchoring yourself to the United States of America through marriage, which is another thing that we ought to stop. Yeah, I said it. We ought to stop it. I mean, if we're going to challenge the concept of birthright citizenship, I would suggest that maybe we relook at immigration law that automatically gives a front-of-the-line status to someone who marries another individual that happens to be a U.S. citizen. It is 4:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll continue along these lines, tell you the latest from him. And I was out of pocket. I admit that I spent 4 hours down at Cordell Hall, and it's kind of insulated down there, and I really wasn't keeping up. I was doing my own thing. We were talking Men of Valor. We were talking a lot of good. We were talking to a lot of good people, about a lot of good people, and so maybe I missed it. Y'all know this shred party that they had at USAID?
I remember that.
I was talking about it yesterday. We broke it
last night. Well,
night.
Late yesterday afternoon.
Yesterday afternoon, they were declared. And has someone from the Trump administration, have I missed the order to stop? And if not, where is it? I mean, so my question is, has anyone in the Trump administration demanded that any and all shredding of documents at USAID cease?
I have not seen that.
I haven't either. And I want to know why. I want to know, and I'm not knocking the Trump administration. Maybe I just missed it, and maybe there's a good reason that we didn't see it. But where's the declaration? Because I think we would have seen this from the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, from one of his underlings, from someone within the Trump circle in the White House. Where is the statement that all document destruction must stop? Because it feels to me like they are the deep state is covering up the deep state's tracks, and I want to know why no one in the Trump administration is declaring that they have to stop that. Maybe they are, and I haven't seen it. Maybe they're not, and I want to know why not. 52 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, Tennessee Men's Clinic is here for you, particularly you gentlemen who have found yourself low energy or unable to perform in the manner that you used to over the last several weeks, months, or even years, and I'm here for it. Okay, folks, Tennessee Men's Clinic can get that T-level checked for you. Tennessee Men's Clinic is the originator of men-centric health care in Middle Tennessee. They started their Midtown location in 2014. Evan Bass expanded to a location in the Cool Springs, Franklin area a couple of years ago. That is to better serve those of you south of the city that need the Tennessee Men's Clinic in your life. And if you are low energy and if you don't know why, maybe it's T-levels, maybe it's something else. Perhaps you've noticed a lack of motivation or drive in bedroom activity. I understand that's a personal matter. I also understand the discreet and professional Tennessee Men's Clinic can help, can assist, and put this in the rearview mirror. It can be a thing of the past. thanks to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com right now to find out more, or call for your appointment today. 615-208-9090. 615-208-9090 for our friends at Tennessee Men's Clinic.
Chance of a government shutdown ramping up, and an update on the anti-Israel protest organizer whom President Trump wants to deport. Coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Has anyone else noticed a soft underlying tension between Ken Weaver and myself today?
Oh.
Have you noticed it, Mason?
I could
Maybe
feel
just a little
some heat,
something.
some pressure in between both of you as I'm
Just a
sitting here in the studio.
little something going on. You know what that is? You know what it is?
That's called SEC men's basketball tournament action.
Glory, glory to Georgia, and to heck with Boomer Sooner.
Hey, you don't even like basketball. Now you're going to like it. You're probably going to win, and now you're going to like it.
It's so true. I don't even like basketball.
Good grief.
I love my Georgia Bulldogs so much that I'll watch some crappy basketball game just to see if we can win.
Exactly. It's like I'm in athletics hell now.
I mean, at least we got some foosball. I mean, at least the Georgia Bulldogs.
You guys got foosball. That's for sure.
We got foosball. Yes, the Oklahoma Sooners and the Georgia Bulldogs.
Oh, they're going to tip off tonight.
Tipping off tonight. I'm going to tip one back in honor of it, Ken.
Yeah, well, me too.
No, absolutely. You going to watch it all?
I don't know if I'll watch all of it. It depends on how pissed off I get.
I will. I am all.
Reasoning.
I promise everyone in this listening audience, the thousands and thousands of you listening right now, I am all in on the last 2 minutes. Is that fair? That's fair. I mean, that's all I can promise. Maybe I'll watch Tip, then I'll go get me something to eat. It is 5 o'clock. It is time for the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and right now the chances of a federal government shutdown at the end of the week ramping up. Stephen Portnoy with the latest.
The top Senate Democrat says his colleagues will not vote with Republicans to get the House-passed spending bill over a filibuster hurdle.
Our caucus is unified.
Accusing Republicans of drafting a partisan bill without Democratic input, Chuck Schumer says the Senate should instead pass a 1-month extension of government funding through April 11th. But the House isn't due back from recess until a week from Monday. All of this makes a Friday night shutdown seem more likely.
Yeah, the former Columbia University student and anti-Israel protest organizer jailed in Louisiana by ICE will stay there for now. A federal judge in New York today did not rule on whether Mahmoud Khalil's right to free speech has been violated. Here's Aaron Katersky.
The judge is just now beginning to weigh Khalil's bid for freedom. And his attorneys told the judge these are extraordinary circumstances. The lawyers insisted that he was identified, targeted, and detained because of his advocacy for the Palestinians in demonstrations against Israel that took over Columbia University's campus last spring.
Now, the Trump administration says Khalil supports Hamas, and rallies led to harassment of Jewish students. The world's waiting for Russia's response to the U.S. and Ukraine 30-day ceasefire offer. Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
The Ukrainians made very clear that this isn't just about ending a war. They need to get their prisoners of war back. They need to get the children back. They'd like to see an exchange of prisoners of war. They'd like to see their children back. So there's all sorts of things tied to the humanitarian assistance is important as well. There are areas of Ukraine that have been badly damaged that require immediate assistance.
Democrats facing another challenge in their quest to retake the Senate. Longtime Democratic Senator Jeannie Shaheen from New Hampshire.
There are urgent challenges ahead, both here at home and around the world. And while I'm not seeking re-election, believe me, I am not retiring.
She is the third Democratic senator to recently announce retirement. And in Greenland, a surprise election result as President Trump eyes the massive resource-rich country. ABC's Ines de la Cuetara has more from the foreign desk.
The center-right Democrat Party winning the most votes in Greenland's parliamentary elections. Their leader had previously said Greenland is not for sale. This comes as U.S. President Trump has said he wants to take control of the island one way or another. The Democrats did not win a majority, meaning they'll likely have to form a coalition government. It was a pro-U.S. party that came in second, recording its best results ever in Tuesday's vote. That party wants a snap referendum on independence and closer ties to the U.S.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Goodlettsville, something has spilled on I-65 northbound, and it has the left lane completely shut down right after Long Hollow Pike. Actually, both lanes are shut down. You're going to have to get over on the shoulder to get by this. Traffic is stop and go starting at Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. Here in downtown Nashville, police reporting a crash involving several vehicles and a box truck. Fortunately, all the lanes are open, but may take some time to get back up to speed there. 24 eastbound after Shelby Avenue. In Madison, got a crash, off-ramp partially blocked. 65 southbound off-ramp to Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway. In Murfreesboro, got a stalled vehicle on the right shoulder, 24 eastbound, right before 840. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, hello, gang. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. We'll have Cameron Smith in from the Tennessean coming up a little bit later on. He's got I-24 on his mind right now. I-24. Bingo! 8 minutes after the hour right now on Super Talk 99. I thought this was spring break week. I thought this was easy peasy on the roadways, but apparently not today. There's a lot of red on my map. I'm looking down on the handy-dandy map app that I got on my phone, and it is there's a red ring around the loop. It is all red there. It's red going down I-65, red going over there to I-40 and 24. That's split. I mean, everything's green on I-40 toward Mount Juliet. Everything. Oh, look, everything's green. Everything's green.
Don't say it if you're gonna jinx me.
I mean, Ken, 24 looks.
24 doesn't actually. 24 doesn't look bad, relatively speaking.
No, I mean, once you get south of like Glencliff and down there toward the Antioch area, it looks pretty good. But anyway,
I tell you what's bad.
What's that?
Northbound 65 up to Goodlettsville.
Uh-oh.
It is backed up all the way to Madison.
What the heck's going on over there?
Somebody spilled something.
Oh, wow.
There's a big old long streak of something white in both lanes. Folks are having to get off on the corner, on the shoulder.
Paint, you think? Paint? Probably paint.
Looks like it could be paint.
Probably paint. Well, y'all be careful out there if you're out and about. We'll keep you. We'll try to keep you abreast as to what's going on in the news. We'll try to keep you entertained as well as you drive home. If you're going home from your place of business, we thank you for being with us. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of that. My name is Matt Murphy. There's Ken Weaver. He's back in News Closet B. Mason Fleming is controlling the experience this week in the absence of Chris Weber, who is off on vacay, and Chris will be back on Monday. Thank you to Mason for doing double duty, first and foremost, and doing great work secondarily on the Matt Murphy Show. We appreciate you.
Oh, shucks. I feel wanted now.
So I got Mike coming up from Mike wants to talk about SpaceX. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to get Mike real quick. And we've got an interview that I did a little bit earlier today that we've queued up from the State House. And I want to play that for you in just a second. I think it'll touch your heart when you talk to JD and Representative Jeremy Faison. But Mike is first up. Hey, Mike.
How you doing?
I'm well. Hope you are.
SpaceX is about to launch a rescue mission.
They are.
There's some glitches here and there, but they're going to launch it. And they're going to bring our 2 astronauts back home. And so that's owned by who?
Last I checked, SpaceX was owned by Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. And therefore, Donald Trump is standing by him saying, you know what? Do we need NASA to bring our, astronauts home, or do we depend on the Russians to do it? Well, Biden didn't do it. He stranded those 2 Americans up there for 9 months. So SpaceX is getting ready to launch, and there's going to be some, glitches here and there, but SpaceX works. NASA's plan didn't work. And so it's going to prove, once again, private enterprise does a better job cost-wise than government. So when they go up there, SpaceX goes up there and they get those 2 astronauts and bring them home. What are the Democrats going to do now?
Well, they'll find something to moan and complain about, Mike. You know how they do. I mean, they'll find something. They're not going to give any credit. Anything Donald Trump does that is positive, they're not going to give him credit for. I mean, they're just not. They are not prepared to give any grace to Donald Trump in any aspect of his presidency. I mean, my goodness gracious, Mike, they could not manage to get off of their hands the other night and applaud for a 13-year-old boy that's had brain cancer.
When you see SpaceX, and this is a while back, Elon Musk shot rockets up. Then they came and landed back down, the launch vehicles on a platform.
I know. It's incredible. It's like something out of a movie.
It's incredible.
It is.
And that's what he does. He does that because it saves money for space exploration. And so that's why Donald Trump has said, you know what, Elon, hey, let's go up and get those astronauts. And he's going to do it.
Well, and what was to be and thank you, Mike, for the call. What was to be a 5-day mission has turned out to be almost 9 months. Turns out Elon Musk claimed, and he was correct, that he offered the Biden administration an opportunity to utilize a SpaceX rocket to get them back down last year, and the Biden administration refused to do it. They did not want to give a political win ultimately to Donald Trump because Elon Musk was already in with Donald Trump at that time. So they could not manage to put naked politics aside for a second to get our astronauts back home. Isn't one of those astronauts from Tennessee? I think that's correct.
Yeah, Butch Wilmore.
Butch Wilmore from the great state of Tennessee. All right, 13 after the hour. I think we have time to do this, Mason, real quick. It's a great conversation with Representative Jeremy Faison and a gentleman by the name of JD, or John. JD is a graduate of the Men of Valor program. I had an opportunity to go through Cordell Hull earlier today. There's some video component to this, but we're figuring that out. So there won't be video. If you're watching on Talk TV, they'll be able to hear it, right? All right, so if you're watching on Talk TV, you'll be able to hear this audio. There's video to it, and we're going to figure out how to transpose that video up to the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. But listen to our good conversation with Representative Jeremy Faison as we sat down with him at Cordell Hull earlier today to talk about Men of Valor. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy with Super Talk 99.7 WTN and the wonderful organization that is Men of Valor. And we have been invited into Chairman Jeremy Faison's office today as we're at Cordell Hull for a day on the Hill with Men of Valor. And Jeremy, thank you so much for letting us be here.
Matt, I am so excited to have you. We've spoken. You've interviewed me many times. I don't know that we've ever met.
I don't think we have.
I'm a massive fan of what Men of Valor do, and this is a prime example of the Lord's work, of what they're doing, and I'm just proud to meet JD right here and hear his story.
Well, there are very few organizations that team up with the government that I can truly say that for every dollar that we spend as taxpayers, we're getting 2 or 3 or 4, we're getting multipliers back. And I believe that about Men of Valor.
It's called the ROI. You know that term? The return on investment.
That's
and when I work with Men of Valor and talk to Genevieve and meet the men that come in, not only it's a return on investment, but then you stop the rate of recidivism often with what they're doing. And not only do you that, the next thing you know, in a few years, they're working, they become productive members of society. Right. They're not taking off society anymore. They're bringing back.
That's right.
And I love the stories.
And to me, guys like JD is truly special. JD, how's it going, man?
Pretty good.
You doing all right?
Yes, sir.
I heard that the last year, you were here for a day on the Hill.
Yes, sir.
How long had you been out?
Really just a couple of days.
Wow.
And it was really amazing. It was a great experience because, first of all, I never would have dreamed in a million years I'd be up talking to, you feel me, people of this status, you feel me?
Right.
So it was like, for me to just get out of jail and then I'm already up here voicing, giving my voice, speaking on my experience with Men of Valor, you feel me? I'm like, man, it's amazing.
What's the last year been like?
The last year has been amazing, like blessings on blessings on blessings. Although I've had a lot of lessons, but I've had more blessings, so, and it's been amazing. I couldn't ask for anything more.
I love the fact that people like you, Jeremy, give voice to people like JD and sit down with him. And JD, here we are. I mean, this is one of the most powerful men in the state of Tennessee. What do you say to him about Men of Valor and the importance of keeping that relationship with the legislature going?
Before you answer, let me say something. Matt, he said, when he said, I can't believe that I'm up here with people like y'all, or status, you said the word status. So here's what you need to know, bro. In the way the Lord views us, there's no difference.
Yes, sir.
It takes the same sacrifice of his son Jesus to save you,
yes, sir,
as it did to save me or Matt right here. And so as far as value of human, bro, I'm as valuable as you are in his eyes.
Appreciate it.
And we see diversity and we celebrate diversity, but we see equality in our value with each other. And I just want you to hear that from me, and I think he feels the same as I feel.
Appreciate that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
But I was incarcerated in CDM right here in Hardin Place. And
for how long?
It was only, honestly, it was just a few months, like 8 months, but it was just, I was hoping for something better. I wasn't trying to do any more time than I needed to, so I was released to Men of Valor, so, and honestly, from the day I stepped out of jail, I went straight to the Ridge, and it's been a wonderful experience ever since. Like, when I first stepped foot on the Ridge, like, I grew up in the church knowing God, but when I stepped on the Ridge, I felt the presence. You feel me? Like, I knew that, this is where I need to be. And then, like, the opportunities that I've gained, me becoming a better man, a better son, father, brother, nephew, uncle, whatever, like, programs like Men of Valor, you feel me, like they've opened that door for me, you know, like got me closer to God. Like I said, I believed in God, but I wasn't following God. Now I'm a firm believer and follower. You feel me? Like I used to pray, but I wasn't praying to God. But like now I know how to pray to God, you know, rely on Him. Give all my problems I used to have, I think I could solve them or, you know, take care of them. But like, you know, it's the experience that, you know, me bettering myself as a man, like I said, you know, and all that, like my job opportunity, you know, I thought all I knew was streets, you know, that's the only thing out there for me. But like me knowing now, like I'm working at cabinet, moving up in the chain there, you feel me? It's like, it's amazing, you feel me? I never thought I'd be building cabinets, but now I think
You've got a life skill.
Yes, sir.
That's one of the beautiful things about what the Men of Valor do. They help you come up with a life skill that you're marketable.
Yes, sir.
And you can make money with the skill that you've been taught.
Yeah, so if you need some cabinets.
Yeah. You ever come to the Smoky Mountains? My wife wants some cabinets. Come on, Smokies with me.
Well, hey, I got you.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, JD, but how much of a no-brainer, Jeremy, do you think this is? I mean, this relationship that you have with Men of Valor. I mean, it feels that way to me. Do you get that sense out of your fellow legislators?
So I wish, Matt, that more people in Tennessee understood what they did. Mm-hmm. And the truth is Men of Valor and outfits such as Men of Valor impact every neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So I'm from the Smoky Mountains, a lot of poverty there. I was talking to Antonio Parkinson, and this is going to shock y'all. There's some real correlations between inner city Memphis and rural poor Appalachia, mm-hmm. as it deals with drugs and family issues and abuse and mom and daddy gone. But when those people get in trouble, and inevitably they do, we're struggling with society, how to work with that, they do. When they come out, if we can get them connected to Men of Valor, mm-hmm. it impacts from my area to Memphis and runs all demographics of people. And you know one thing, up here my life is so political, but there's nothing political about Men of Valor. Like, I don't know if you're a Democrat or Republican, and I don't care. I love the fact that you were in trouble, you're out of trouble, and you're working your butt off. Right. And I love that mm-hmm. about them. It's not a political thing. That's why I wish more people in Tennessee got on board and understood what y'all
mm-hmm. do. JD, are you still on campus?
Yes, sir. Actually, I am. I just graduated March 4th. You know, 12 months. You know, and it's been wonderful. I'm sorry, but then like now, I'm actually a house manager. But then like, you know, we also have an off campus, and I'll be moving off campus, but I'll still be attending. You know, doing my manager duties and stuff. So keep myself grounded.
How's that build going?
It's flying.
They've got the big workforce development center that's coming up, and
yes.
It's exciting.
Yes, it is. Like every day I look out, like from the day I step foot on the campus, you know, it's like to see what it is now. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Cause like at first it was just land, and then you know, like now we can't even take the shortcut. We gotta walk around there. So yeah.
Well, listen, thank you for coming up, JD, and Jeremy. Thank you for welcoming us to your office and to Cordell Hall, just to let some of the legislature experience the real results. I mean, mm-hmm. JD's the real result. You know, I don't need to say more about it.
And I'll say this: some of your tax dollars go to outfits such as Men of Valor, and I would encourage you, if you're looking for a place that you say, you know what, I would like to support a nonprofit. Men of Valor's a nonprofit. At the end of the year, you get to December and you realize that you've been blessed and you need some tax write-offs. And instead of giving it to our government, they don't have a revenue problem, they have a spending problem. So I would encourage you to reach out to Men of Valor. If you look them up, find them, say, you know what, I would like a tax write-off for that. I'll donate to them, not just for your own personal self, but then look at the investments you're making. For those of us that are Christians, this is what you call laying up treasures in heaven. What they're doing, and you get to work with men like this right here and see the good work they're doing. So I'd encourage you to invest into it.
movministry.com to find out more about how you can do that. And for more on cabinets, go see JD. JD, thank you.
Thank you.
Jeremy, thank you so
bro.
much.
Blessings, man.
God bless you, brother.
God bless you.
And Jeremy, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you. God bless y'all.
From earlier today, that's Representative Jeremy Faison and JD. JD, a graduate of Men of Valor. What a wonderful organization. I invite you to go to movministry.com for more information. We'll perhaps rack up another of our conversations a little bit later on. And in a moment, we'll speak to our man from the Tennessean. It's Cameron Smith. We got big news on the raccoon front. That's on the way next on Super Talk. It occurs to me that people that don't regularly listen to the radio show, I say things like, we've got big news on the raccoon front. They're like, what in the hell did that guy just say? I'll explain it. I'll feed you baby birds. Don't you worry about it. Right now, I want to explain to you how you might be losing money because you have not called Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Cover Nash wants to help you save money. It's as simple as that. If you don't know if you're maximizing your dollar for your health insurance coverage, you need to call Shane. If you don't know if you're getting good coverage, you need to call Shane. If you don't know if there's a better plan out there for you, call Shane. He's right here local. He can sit down with you in his office in Brentwood. He'll go over every plan available on the market today and find the one that's right for you, right for your family. That's what it's all about, being informed about your health coverage. And don't wait for open enrollment. This is not something that you have to do. Shane will explain it to you when you make the call that so many others have made to Cover Nash. Shane sits down with you. You shop the entire health care plan market. You know every plan available, and you find the one that fits your budget and fits your lifestyle. Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Go to covernash.com to find out more. That's covernash.com, or give him a call today at 615-465-0023, 465-0023 for Cover Nash.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Government shutdown chances. Anti-Israel protest organizer deportation update coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, yes, Ken Weaver, thank you so much. I have to sneeze. I'm just warning everyone. It's 1 minute until that newscast. That makes it 5:29. I'm just trying to make it as confusing as possible on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I still have to sneeze. I can feel it coming.
You can do it.
Hey, Cameron.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Cameron Smith. He got 24, everybody.
Hey.
Did you get 24?
I did. 65 got 24, and it got me.
Yeah, so that's what happens, right? On the south side, if 24 gets bad enough, then 65 gets 24, and then everybody's 24.
Right, and the elites turn to the left. The miscreants going on to 24 on the right. I don't know about those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
bad news. What's up in your world? Well, are you not spring breaking this week?
We are, and I'm taking it a little easy, but I got stuff to do.
I take exception with you then. I don't like these people that are spring break. It's not spring.
Yeah, it's just break, really.
I mean, what are we doing?
Late winter break.
That's what it is.
Cold water break.
Although, I'll tell you, it feels like spring out there today, boy.
It is glorious.
It is pretty nice. Pretty nice. I got down to Cordell Hull today.
Cool.
It was my first trip.
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, 3 years in, and I've not been down to see the palatial hallways of the General Assembly. Boy, oh boy, they got it good down there.
Yeah,
they get snacks.
I got to cut my teeth in Tennessee politics working on Governor Lee's transition in the old state office buildings. So it was like a post-apocalyptic landscape where we were doing Governor Lee's transition, and like old payphones. They had not yet gutted it and redone it.
So was that Cordell Hull too?
I don't remember which building it was, but it was the old state office buildings. You went in near TPAC.
So I talked to Kenny, who is a big listener of the show. Hello, Kenny. Shout out to Kenny. He is one of the facilities managers at Cordell Hull. And he explained to me that the building was there, old, rundown, and they renovated the entire thing.
All right.
They kind of redid the entire thing, and that's when they put in the tunnel. Have you heard about the tunnel?
What about it?
Between Cordell Hull and the Capitol?
Yeah.
Like how they did it?
No.
They bore it.
Really?
They did not go. They had a English channel.
When did they do that?
2017, 2018. I don't really. Someone will know the exact time.
That's really cool.
Oh, it's very cool. They went from the Capitol and put the boring machine in there, and it's not very boring to me. I mean, it's pretty exciting. But they dug the tunnel underneath while everybody's still doing their business on the top of the street.
All I know is getting to work in there before it was renovated, when it was just leftovers from like the 90s. It was awesome.
I bet it was a lot of fun.
It was terrifying.
Post-apocalyptic.
In the dark, in the nighttime, terrifying.
31 after the hour. Ken Weaver, it's time for the news, and we'll get back to Cameron in just a moment. Plus, more of our visits at Cordell Hull for Men of Valor. That's on the way next on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. That is a 37-minute delay northbound 65 to Goodlettsville because of that spill blocking the left and right lanes. It is backed up all the way beyond Madison. Full forecast, another traffic update in 5 minutes. Chances of a government shutdown at the end of the week ramping up now that Democrats in the Senate have come out against that House-passed measure that would avoid one. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
Top Senate Democrats says Republicans have eschewed bipartisanship and don't have the votes on their own to push the House-passed spending bill through a Democratic-led filibuster. Chuck Schumer says the Senate should instead consider a clean 1-month extension of government funding through April 11th.
We should vote on that.
But even if Republicans in the Senate were interested, the House is on recess, not due back until a week from Monday. A Senate stalemate could lead to a Friday night shutdown.
A federal judge in New York says former Columbia University student Mahmoud Halil has to stay in a Louisiana detention facility for now. The Trump administration wants to deport Halil, claiming his green card's void because he supports terrorism for leading pro-Palestinian protests on campus last year that the Trump administration says led to harassment of Jewish students. Critics say Halil's case sets a concerning precedent, which violates his First Amendment rights to free speech. Karen Travers has the latest from President Trump's take on the Ukraine-Russia war.
President Trump expressed optimism about the ceasefire deal reached between the U.S. and Ukraine, but says the ball is now in Russian President Vladimir Putin's hands.
We had a great success yesterday. We have a full ceasefire. If it kicks in, we have to see. It's up to Russia now.
The president said Tuesday he would likely talk to Putin this week. He again threatened economic punishment on Russia, but said he wouldn't do that because he wants to see peace.
Well, the Democrats now facing another challenge in their quest to retake the Senate, says Sherry Preston.
Longtime Democratic Senator Jean Shaheen from New Hampshire has announced she will not be seeking re-election. She is the third Democratic senator to recently announce retirement, making a Democratic comeback in the Senate less likely.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. That spill closing the right and left lane of 65 northbound in Goodlettsville has northbound 65 backed up all the way to Briley Parkway. And it's starting to back up traffic on Briley Parkway if you're trying to access 65 northbound. Right now, that's a 32-minute delay. In downtown Nashville, got a crash reported. That's going to be eastbound, the East Loop, right after Shelby Avenue. Several vehicles and a box truck. All the lanes are open, though. 65 southbound at Madison. This is southbound. The off-ramp partially blocked. Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway. That's due to a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, kids. So you go to bed and you're up regularly throughout the course of the night. Not to go to the bathroom, but you just wake up in fits and starts. Do you know what that is? I mean, maybe you think, oh, well, I'm just not sleeping well. My pillow's not good. Or maybe it's that you have sleep apnea. Have you thought about this? Have you been diagnosed? Have you had a sleep test? If the answer is no, you need to get one because this can affect your health dramatically if you have mild to moderate sleep apnea. And there is a device presented by Dr. Stephen Poss and Dr. Brian McLaughlin and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center that fits in your mouth. It's an FDA-approved device. I have one. Absolutely love this thing. It goes. You don't notice it after a couple of nights. You pop it in. You go to bed. You sleep soundly. Your jaw is gently held forward. Your partner, if you snore, your partner doesn't hear that snoring anymore because it, at least in part, eliminates the snoring, helps you sleep, help your partner sleep, and they're in network with most insurance companies in the state of Tennessee. Let's get to this. Let's get to the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. The journey starts at drposs.com. That's drposs.com, drposs.com for the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy with Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and we are sitting with Chairman. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And some of these conversations that you and I have off air, we need to have on air. We were talking about an unnamed politician. So, look, I appreciate those of you that appreciate our president of the United States of America. Y'all know that I'm all in. I'm all in on DJT. DJT. But that's what I call him.
What's the P?
President.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if he had another name that we didn't understand.
Have some respect there, Cameron Smith. Cameron Smith joins us in studio, both on the radio and on our television side of things. I'm looking at you over there. You look great.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing. How you doing?
I'm alive.
Yeah. And the flip-floppers fascinate me.
Yes.
The ones that are all in on Trump and then all against him and all in and all against him. And there's only a few of them, and I'm not going to name names, Ted Cruz, but whatever. Yeah. And there's some others that used to be in Congress. Mo Brooks, but whatever. So I guess I did name names.
And some that have names like Darko Rubio, like they.
Well, but Marco was against him. I don't know.
Are you talking about Little Marco or some other Marco?
No, Little Marco. Little Marco.
Or Secretary Rubio.
What about, tell me I'm wrong. I'm going to say something and you say Murphy is right, Murphy's wrong.
Good deal.
Marco Rubio has done an excellent job as Secretary of State so far.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, right?
Yeah,
this thing in Ukraine that's being underreported by the mainstream media is not a small deal. That they got Ukraine to agree to a ceasefire. Now, the big lift is Russia in? If Russia's in, that's a big deal.
It is, and look, this whole situation for Rubio to have to thread the needle in a situation where his natural instincts are probably a little bit more like, hey, let's do what we can to help Ukraine. He has navigated this quite well. He has not let his personal perspectives interfere with his job as Trump's Secretary of State.
Right.
And that's, I think, admirable.
Well, and I think the people that came into the Trump administration this time around understood the manner in which Trump runs his White House. And that it's Trump's White House. This is my directive. You manage to do it. You can do it your way, but these are the message is like, and you hear Rubio doing it all the time when he does these media tours, is that our central goal is to stop the war. That is our goal, to achieve the peace. And we're going to do that by any means necessary. We're not going to do this and that and the other thing, and then you can get in the weeds on it. And I have every respect for it.
I respect the fact that he's communicating what he intends to do, and then he's doing that thing. And then his people are basically echoing the same position, like Linda McMahon with Department of Education saying, yeah, we're winding it down. We have some stuff we have to do through Congress, but here's what we can do right now. And so that's what I'm doing, and that's my mandate from my boss.
It seems that the political left is regularly amazed that Donald Trump continues to do the things that he promised to do on the campaign trail.
Mm-hmm. And this to me is, I had a piece in the Tennessee, and it's done well on the metaphor that you and I talked about of, cutting the hedges.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing when you ask people, well, this isn't the way, and I know you hate it, and I know it's the worst, and this is just a chainsaw approach, but what's your idea that'll do the same thing, that'll have the same impact? Because the answer is nothing.
And that's what frustrates me more than anything, where we are in modern. Well, it doesn't frustrate me. It just exposes the political left for the liars that they are. In as much as if you talk to them 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago, and you said, well, we agree that we can't keep overspending all this money, right? Well, yeah, of course we agree. And we need to, start with waste and fraud and abuse and, oh, yeah, of course we do. And then you go to those things that, maybe aren't necessarily the federal government. Oh, sure. Well, they don't want to do any of that. Right. And they don't really have any, like you say, they don't have any alternative as to how they would do it. They just hate the way that it's being done.
But think about this. Elon Musk critics have said this is fiscal performance theater, that what Musk is doing, what Doge is doing, is only a drop in the bucket. It's not even going to move the needle. Think how terrifying that is. That the most aggressive reining in of the federal bureaucracy
in our
lifetime is only a drop in the bucket. And frankly, fiscally, that's true because we've averaged since COVID $2 trillion deficits a year.
So I say nice things about the Trump administration. Now I want to say something that's concerning me about the Trump administration. Mm-hmm. And maybe I've missed it, and maybe there's a gap because, I was down at Cordell Hull today, and a story came out that I missed.
If only you played 5D chess, you would understand.
I guess so. So yesterday, so we heard that USAID had been cut by 83%. 83% of the contracts had been cut. And obviously the continuing resolution continues to have – it's a little bit messy because this CR – it's a budget that should have been done last year. Right. And you're continuing it to next year. And so some of that money is going to still be there. And it's not going to clean up until we get a new budget without all of this stuff in it.
Sure.
Okay. But Marco Rubio announced 83% of the contracts had been eliminated, and the rest of it had rolled into the State Department. And then soon after that, we saw the story originated from Politico, ironically enough, an organization that had gotten money from USAID, that they are in the building and at the direction of the interim director of USAID, they are shredding documents within the building and burning. Have you heard this story? Mm-mm. See, it's being underreported. She sent out an internal memo. All hands on deck. It's an all-day thing. This was yesterday. We are shredding documents, and we are burning that which we cannot shred. There was an actual quote in the memo that said, please reserve the burn bags until the shredder becomes backed up or needs a break. And there are government people that have been in Washington for 25 years said, I've never heard anything like this on planet Earth. And so that's one thing. I expected the deep state to do deep state things. Yeah. Where's the Donald Trump memo saying no? Because this came out 24 hours ago that they were doing this. And I have yet to see anybody from the State Department, anybody from the White House come out publicly and say, we are putting a stop to all of this shredding until we figure out what the hell's going on. Now, they can claim that it's just a general cleanup of what they're doing. And one of their claims is, well, all of this stuff is on, it's digitized anyway.
Mm. You don't have to do a all hands on deck if it's just a regular cleanup. And the burn bags?
Burn bags. Like, I'll pull up the story. It's awesome.
You're shredding so fast, you may have to set some stuff on fire.
No, that's exactly right. They said, please reserve the burn bags until the shredder is fully occupied or needs a break.
But, Matt, what you don't understand is if there are documents that show your friends got zombie contracts, then that's bad.
I guess so.
So you have to get rid of bad paper.
I guess so.
Because it's the paper's fault.
My confusion is, and once again, maybe I missed it, why isn't Trump saying, y'all might want to stop with the shredding and the burning for just a moment because we want to make sure that you're not shredding and burning things that might point fingers at the deep state doing bad things, bad deep state stuff.
But this is the problem with what we call the deep state is, one, it's not actually that deep.
Nope.
And two, it involves a lot of politicians. And so, unfortunately, as much as I would love to be like, well, the real problem here is the deep state, and it implicates only Democrats. What I do know as somebody who's worked on Capitol Hill and worked with the federal agencies is that these folks in these agencies are smart. They play both sides of the political spectrum equally. And look, there are some great civil servants, and I'll be the first to point them out and say, hey, Great job. Awesome people. I'm glad we have them in those roles. There's also some people that are like, I'm going to outlast you, and I'm going to do that because I know where the bodies are.
In a moment, we're going to shift attention back over to Cordell Hull. I've got an additional interview that I want to share with you, both on the television and the radio side of things. And coming up, I'm shifting Nincompoops to 606. And I know, we're getting to the raccoon, too. Don't worry. Cameron Smith is very proud of himself. Because if you want to present good legislation, you better have, I always forget what they're called, acronyms?
Yeah.
You better have a damn good acronym if you want to push good legislation. Mm-hmm. You have good legislation with possibly the best acronym ever in the history of Tennessee politics.
It's true.
And we'll share that with you as well. Coming up, once again, alert. Mason and Ken Weaver alert, most importantly. Nincompoops in the News is happening today. We're just shifting to 606. 606 for Nincompoops today on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy with Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and we are sitting with Chairman Chris Todd in his offices. Thank you for allowing us to stop by Cordell Hull, Chris.
Glad you got to visit.
Well, it's always a lot of fun to sit down with legislators and talk to them about important pieces. And, we're here today to support Men of Valor. It's an organization I believe in. Mm-hmm. I understand that the state has some limitations about, what they can do within the system. They do the best they can. Obviously, you guys do the best you can regarding rehabilitation. But talk to us about the relationship the state has with Men of Valor from your perspective.
Where I start with usually is our Constitution. That's our contract with each other. And what does the Constitution say about what government's involvement is in our lives? And I think this, as far as providing for punishment of crimes, that's a big government function, of course. Sure. We rely on that as a society. And there are a lot of components to that. And one of those is rehabilitation. It is, people paying for their crime, but not doing it again, turning them around, getting their lives changed to where they're not victimizing again. And so should the state be involved in funding things like that, programs that do something positive instead of just housing them somewhere in prison? Absolutely. If we can keep them out of prison. We've got a lot of organizations around the state that do things. Men of Valor has proven to do it very, very well.
Well, and you talk about the recidivism rate and the ability to keep them out of prison. I think the figure that I saw was $111.53 a day. It's kind of it's kind of an unspoken liability. We don't talk about that liability on the taxpaying citizens, as much as maybe we should. Mm-hmm. Do you think what do you think, generally speaking, of our prison system right now and where we are, and if there's anything that we need to do to make it better in response to the citizens' needs?
I'm sure there's a lot we need to do. I don't, as far as real fine details of in prison, mm-hmm. I know in most prisons we have programs that help with that rehabilitation so that when those inmates get out, they can be on a better path. There are some programs that I've seen work very well for even on the county level, where they're literally putting these folks, the right, obviously not violent offenders, but nonviolent offenders, in jobs where while they're serving their sentence, they're housing them in like almost a halfway house setting. They're drug testing them weekly or daily or whatever it is. They're transporting them to an employer. They're doing their job. They transport them back. They're in their custody, overnight, but they're making money while they're in jail, and so they're paying their fines off, paying their victims any restitution, and so when they get out, they're not under such a big load of debt that's going to probably put them right back where they came from.
Right.
So there's things like that that I think outside the box a little bit. That's something 20 years ago never heard of.
Well, and not interrupt your train of thought, but we a lot of physical responsibility mm-hmm. in the state of Tennessee, and I love that about mm-hmm. our state, that we don't borrow money to pay down the road. We pay for and when some look at an appropriation, like $5 million, it's a lot of money. For me, from a workplace development standpoint, I think you're getting that money back. If you see a return, if you see $2 for every dollar that you spend, that's a good investment for the state of Tennessee.
Without a doubt. And that's where I think we have to be wise, and we have been, but we can always look for better opportunities, and we'll look on the opportunities where it's proven and then invest in those more, expand those programs. And Men of Valor is one of those. I think it's definitely a worthwhile investment that does have a big return on our budget every year.
Chairman, thank you so much for a little bit of your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us come down to Cordell Hall.
Oh, I'm glad y'all are here and being involved. It makes a difference in what we do here.
Very good. All right, cool. When fellas walk into Genesis Diamonds, I'm going to tell you guys, it's a little intimidating. There's a lot of sparkly going on, a lot of diamonds going on. There's rings, there's pendants, there's necklaces, there's earrings, there's bracelets, and I don't know one diamond from the next. But here's the great thing about Genesis Diamonds. They will hold your hand. They will walk you through. They will make you feel totally at ease. They'll offer you a beverage, whether it's a soda, maybe a tea, maybe it's a glass of something bubbly or sparkly, and they will help you figure it out. They will ask a few questions of you, and they will answer any and all questions that you have about what they do at Genesis Diamonds. Here's the nice thing. At Genesis Diamonds, the consultants are never on commission. They are not retail clerks. They are not transaction-focused. They are you-focused. They can spend 30 minutes with you or 3 hours with you. They're going to figure out exactly what you're looking for, and they're going to find you something in your budget and something that's going to be a home run for the anniversary, the birthday, or the just because. Genesis Diamonds, 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs, a true direct diamond importer with rock-bottom prices and a luxury buying experience. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Genesis Diamonds.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Things are improving dramatically there northbound 65 in Goodlettsville. It's only an 8-minute delay where something had spilled, prompting officials to close both the right and left lanes of 65 northbound there through Goodlettsville. Right now in our nation's capital, it's the Democrats threatening to allow the federal government to shut down. Here's a leader in the U.S. Senate, Chuck Schumer.
Funding the government should be a bipartisan effort, but Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input from congressional Democrats.
Now, the deadline's the end of Friday. Republicans control 53 Senate seats. They need 60 votes to defeat a filibuster. A federal judge in New York says former Columbia University student and anti-Israel protest organizer Mahmoud Halil has to stay at a detention center in Louisiana for now. Today was the first hearing since his arrest by ICE last weekend. The judge blocked the Trump administration from deporting him over what Secretary of State Marco Rubio says was a clear threat to national security.
This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way.
Here's Aaron Katursky.
There's a real question before we even get to the merits of whether he should have been arrested, whether his case should be heard here in New York, where he lived, in New Jersey, where he was taken immediately after his arrest, or in Louisiana, where he's now being held. The government would prefer to move it out of New York.
Critics say Halil's case sets a concerning precedent, which violates his First Amendment rights to free speech. Speaking of deportation, in his first 50 days, the Trump administration immigration officials claim they've arrested over 14,000 convicted criminals, 9,800 migrants who have pending criminal charges, 1,155 suspected gang members, and 44 foreign fugitives. ICE also says it is maxed out on detention facilities with approximately 47,000 beds taken. A bill to increase the penalty for fake rideshare drivers in Tennessee is advancing in the General Assembly. It comes amid a growing number of people pretending to be Lyft, Uber, or cab drivers to get you inside, then charge you exorbitant fees and not let you out until you pay. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Cabs say you should always check the car has a decal, meter, top light, and driver's permit in the window to make sure it's a real taxi. And that's exactly what people like Tammy Daly do. She says she's heard of people impersonating Lyfts, so today when she got in one, double-checked their name and then tracked their route as they drove to Broadway.
I'm always just very uber cautious. Like when you open up the door, the driver should say your name. That's how you know it's your car, and making sure that the information matches the app. It's a white car, the license plate, and usually it's right. So
she said she'd feel even more comfortable in ride shares if there was a harsher law that deterred impersonators.
Now, this new bill increases jail time up to 6 months and a $500 fine. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
All right, it's taken a while, but 65 northbound to Goodlettsville is improving slowly. It looks like they have cleared that spill that had both lanes northbound closed there at Goodlettsville. It is reopened now, so things should be getting back up to speed, albeit slowly, until you get further north into Goodlettsville. We've got Franklin, a stalled vehicle on the right shoulder at 65 southbound after McEwen Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, and I am pleased you're joining us, whether you give us the full 4 hours or you're just here for the 6 o'clock hour, whatever time you get in here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. 615-737-9986 is our telephone number. 615-737-9986. Thanks to Representative Chris Todd. Chairman Todd sat down with us and talked with us a little bit about exactly what his belief is regarding Men of Valor. We played that for you just a moment ago. And good job, Mason. Mason got us up on video on the Talk TV side of things, which looked fabulous. I was in the shot, so it didn't look that great. But, you know,
Chris Todd was great.
Representative Todd looked great, didn't he?
Looked great. Excellent.
I thought he did too. And and some were saying, hey, the interview was great. The earlier interview we did with Jeremy Faison was great, but the audio was a little weird. I had two lavalier mics, or two rather clip-on mics, and so we had a 3-person interview there. And you'll hear that again when we talk with Jack Johnson, which will not be today. I'm going to share that with you tomorrow. I'm going to follow up on the Men of Valor front tomorrow. Right now, we've got Cameron Smith in studio with us. He joins us every Wednesday around this time. And we always appreciate his participation in the show. Cameron can be found writing the best words over at the Tennessean, and I try to say the best words. And one of these days, we're going to do a podcast together.
With all the best words.
With all the best words. Stay tuned for that. By the way, I loved the column. I read it. I don't read all of them. I hated one that you did like last week.
You did.
And then this is what Cameron does to you. This is why I like Cameron. That's why he's my buddy. Couldn't stand this column that he did last week. I was like, I'm going to call this guy at 11 o'clock at night and just give him 6 ways to hell. And then this week I'm like, man, this guy's the smartest guy I've read in a long time.
Yeah, well,
That's
I
the way
mean,
it
the
goes.
mental image of a redneck with a mullet flowing in the breeze, firing up Freebird and a chainsaw and getting after it, it's something that a lot of my Tennessean brethren can get behind. They're like, hey, I get that. I know that guy. I've watched him do his thing. And that's what's happening to our federal government right now. And frankly, nobody has a better answer.
You know what I think of when I think of Freebird? And it's a very, very specific memory that I have. When I realized that I was that guy, I was old and that guy. I still had they were wireless, but I still had the on-ear headphones doing yard work.
Mm-hmm.
It was before I'd gone to the earbuds. And I'm in plaid shorts, right? A cut-off shirt with no sleeves and no midriff.
Obviously.
Tube socks, like up almost to the knee. Yeah, like those. Yeah, like those. I had on soccer cleats because I found you could buy cheap soccer cleats that work great for yard work.
They do. It's true.
Yeah. And had bright red soccer cleats on that were on special at Academy Sports, and a big floppy hat, and I had my things on, and I'm mowing the grass, right? And Freebird's on.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this kid and her friend ride by on a 4-wheeler. right?
Yeah.
And a covered. It's not a golf cart. It's like a gator.
Yeah.
And they ride by, and they kind of look at me, and I kind of look at them, and Freebird, and I keep going around the front yard, and then they come back, and they have an extra friend in the cart with them.
Obviously, gawking at the male specimen that is Matt Murphy.
On the third occasion, they had another extra friend. Now there's 4 of them,
right?
And I'm like, I'm being looked at. I'm being mocked.
Look, women want you, men want to be you.
It is not true. No, these young ladies were thinking, look at that old fella with his idiot outfit on. And they didn't realize that in the background,
yes.
Yeah.
I was driving home from the gym with my 10-year-old. I was listening to Allman Brothers, Melissa, and he promptly fell asleep. And I'm like, okay.
As they do.
It's a chill song, so a little different than Freebird.
She's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
sweet Melissa.
Sweet Melissa. Hey, there's the voice of Ken Weaver. He's back in News Closet B. Mason Fleming is over in the control area, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as possible. My name is Matt Murphy. That's Cameron Smith. And we didn't do it in the 5 o'clock hour, but we're going to do it right now. It's time for Nick and Poops in the News. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard what the news is. Ken Weaver's been delivering it all afternoon long. I opine on said same. Now it is time for the 4 individuals in question. That would be Weaver, Fleming, Smith, and Murphy, to scour the state of Tennessee, all across the United States of America, nay, the globe, and find the nincompoops and report to you. And you get to vote on who the nincompoop in the news of the day is at the end of it all. 615-737-9986. By a show of hands, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Ken Weaver's ready to go. What's up, Mr. Weaver?
All right. This is got this off the Daily Wire. This happened last February. So forgive me if you guys already know about this. But the audio from the video is just too funny. I have to use it. Video shows a Tennessee cop face planting as he tries to tackle a naked woman running around a highway in Chattanooga. It shows 2 cops approaching a nude, unidentified, tattooed woman standing near Highway 153. She quickly sprints away, leaving the officers straggling behind. One of them actually falls down, trying to catch her. The person recording this can be heard in the background narrating the chaotic scene as it unfolds, and I'll let you hear it.
This chick is naked, man. Oh, my God. Only in Chattanooga. Oh, my God, they're going to tackle her. Oh, the stuff you see in Chattanooga. Oh, come on, dude.
That is where the officer face plants.
Oh,
when
no.
he says, oh, come on, dude. The other officer just gives up. And the woman is just sprinting down the side of this highway, naked as a jaybird.
Did they catch her, Ken?
It's unclear.
Her whereabouts unknown at this time.
It's unclear exactly when and where this took place. It only says Highway 153 there in Chattanooga. Doesn't say why the woman was naked and running from police, probably because she didn't want to get arrested. But the 2 officers appear to be maybe mid to late 30s, not in very good shape. This woman was, I don't know, it doesn't look like she was in great shape, but she was fast enough to get away from these 2. And the video of the one cop face planting is something else because he's almost got her. She does like a Barry Sanders stop on a dime.
Oh, yeah.
And then cuts left. And I mean, he just goes burnt.
Little juke.
And that's whenever you hear, you hear that guy go, oh, man.
And then the Y button or the L2 button on the controller. Boop, L2, boop. Just a little jukey juke. And the guy goes, oh, man.
I wouldn't have trouble tackling somebody, but if they're naked, it gives you a moment to pause, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, the officers are probably thinking, well, we got to be careful here. However, yeah, to their credit, I think they're trying to corral her because the highway, there is a highway where there's heavy traffic. And if she gets over there, then you're going to have some really big problems.
Bet she's slippery.
But, yeah, man, the one cop just gives up. Hey, she's just.
See, that's why I'm not a police officer.
Seems like
because
a
I
lot
would
of
have
effort.
done. She's not armed.
We know. We
I
can
mean,
tell.
I can, unless there's, unless she's got it concealed in some fashion.
Maybe she's got a jail purse.
Yeah.
My reaction would be like, let's just let her tire herself out.
Yeah. Eventually, she'll tuck her out and want to go to bed.
Right.
Want to take a little nappy nap.
Right.
Maybe get a little cold.
Yeah.
Mason Fleming, you're a nincompoop, sir.
This one's a little bit of an older story, but it's a classic in my opinion. This one comes from January 15th of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Man owns $321 million in Bitcoin, but lost his password.
Man, I can identify with this. I was locked out of Facebook. See, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's basically the same.
Yeah.
Wait, how much money in Bitcoin?
231 million.
Yeah, 231 million in Bitcoin. Matt Murphy can't get into his Facebook page. Same deal.
It's the same.
I feel this situation.
Stefan Thomas is a Bitcoin millionaire, or he would be, only if he could remember his password. The website that he uses to be able to access it, which is Iron Key, is locked on a USB hard drive that contains the digital wallet that holds all of his Bitcoins. He cannot access it because he has forgotten his password, but the website only gives him 10 tries. He is down to his final 2.
Well, oh my goodness. Well, what do you...
For something so important, you would think that you would write it
that
down.
would be written down somewhere.
I'm confused. I mean, I guess this is such a locked down deal that
There's
like,
no forgot password.
There's no click the forgot password button and two-factor authentication or whatever.
If the wrong password is entered for the final time, the entire system locks up, encrypts itself permanently, and cannot be accessed by anyone else.
What a dope. Wow. I mean, that's the definition of a nincompoop.
Oh, absolutely.
That's that's in the Nincompoop Hall of Fame, Mason.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. I agree with you.
It's a big one.
And that's pretty good. Mr. Smith?
Yeah, this is part of my ongoing tradition of just Googling Florida man.
It's a gold.
Whatever pops up. Yep, it worked again. The bar is closed. It's time to go home, the officer can be heard saying as he and his horse, Mount Opus, were making their way through the crowd. However, moments later, the officer can be heard saying, "Do not touch the horse."
Uh-oh.
Police said Justin Riera then allegedly reared back and struck the police horse before running off into the crowd, attempting to evade apprehension.
What?
The horse.
He hit the horse?
He punched the horse.
Oh, no. Man. Come on, not the horse.
The horse can then be seen galloping through the crowd as the officer went after Riera. "Stop, you're under arrest. Watch out," the officer said. Eventually, officers were able to apprehend Riera. That's a felony to hit a horse.
Yeah, that's an officer of the law.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this nincompoop decided the bar's closing. I'm upset. The guy on the horse is telling me to go home.
I'm going to hit the horse.
I'm going to punch that horse.
No, that's no good.
Bad choice. He looks like Samuel Bankman-Fried, too, by the way. So there's video. There's
nice
everything.
mop of hair.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
That's
Got
good.
the whole thing.
I'm going to stick in Florida for our fourth nincompoop candidate. March 7th, in a plea deal, a Florida doctor has admitted to dumping gallons of urine on the front door of a medical practice.
A doctor?
Yeah, a doctor. A Florida doctor has admitted to dumping gallons of urine on the front door of a medical practice and has agreed to perform community service, pay restitution, and write a letter of apology to the targets of his body waste bombardment. A judge has approved a pretrial intervention struck by prosecutors with Giovanni Bolla, a 59-year-old internist arrested last year for criminal mischief. A copy of the agreement was filed in court March 5th. If Bolla successfully completes a 12-month PTI program, I don't know what the PTI stands for, but I want to make something up. I guess it's pretrial intervention. The felony count will be dismissed. The agreement states that Bolla, quote, acknowledges and accepts responsibility for the unfortunate urine attack, and that such acknowledgement is the first step in rehabilitation. Bolla was busted twice for dousing a St. Petersburg doctor's office with, quote, gallons of urine.
Goodness.
Gallons with an S. Yes. The office was occupied by Dr. Dylan Danish, who had purchased Balla's medical practice in 2022. In recent months, the defendant became upset with the victim over the business. According to police officers at the time of his arrest, Danish initially occupied the premises owned and previously occupied by Balla, but moved his business due to contractual breaches. Additionally, Danish accused Balla of violating contractual obligations, forbidding him from, quote, engaging in competitive medical practice, to which Balla responded by pouring gallons of urine on his medical practice.
That's one pissed off doctor.
It's so good. So my question is, y'all think it was his or was he collecting? You know what I mean?
All right, it's being a cup time.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Doctor, why do you have a jug instead of the little medical cup?
We're saving up. Men, we're saving up.
Gallons.
We recycle here.
Yeah, I mean, was he Howard Hughes in that thing?
You always have the grody nincompoops.
I do. It actually, the grodiness is an element of one of the websites that I go to find my nincompoops, my little hidden website. It's typically, it was either that one. I could have gone with the, I had another one considered. This was the embalmer that was busted at the funeral home for, it was a female embalmer at a Texas funeral home that had to embalm and prepare the corpse of a sex offender. This is a true story.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nincompoop that didn't make the cut, by the way, because I really can't consider her a nincompoop because of what she did. She cut off a part. She knew what he did. She cut off a part and put it in his mouth.
Goodness.
Oh, wow. As sort of a, and now she's been arrested.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that.
That's desecration of a corpse.
Desecration of a corpse. Even if it's a sexual offender, you can't do that. But you know what? Do I blame her? Is it worth it? Maybe. You know? If I'm on that jury, she's not getting jail time.
But he's dead.
How much is the jail time for that?
Let's see. I don't think she's... investigators have identified the dead man, blah, 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 a registered sex offender, blah, blah, blah. As detailed in the court filing, within minutes, the funeral company management learned of her criminal history, or his criminal history. An official told a coworker and then observed Loudermilk was her name.
Of course it is.
Cut off, blah, 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 and stuff it in his blah, blah, blah. Upon learning of the mutilation, the memorial, mortuary, and crematory manager went to the cremation room to look for themselves and noticed that the blah, blah, blah had indeed been mutilated and put in his mouth. I'm trying to be nice, but it's hard. See, this is the one that didn't. This is why I didn't make the cut.
That would have been a real awkward open casket. You know what I mean?
Is that his nose? No. What is that?
What is that?
According to investigators, her bond. Oh, so she's just gotten bond at $5,000.
Oh,
and on the condition that, quote, the defendant may not be employed as an embalmer while the case is pending.
Probably
just
fair.
while the case has been.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good. That's good news. All right, it's 24 after the hour. You get to vote. 615-737-9986. Who's the nincompoop of the day? When we come back, we're going to get into a legislative brief authored by Cameron Smith. I'm very excited about this. Can I say the name?
You can.
It is called the Tennessee Raccoon Adoption, Safety, and Habitat Protection and Nurturing Domestic Animal Act. And for you, if you're listening closely, you can figure it out. I'll do it one more time. The Tennessee Raccoon Adoption, Safety, and Habitat Protection and Nurturing Domestic Animal Act. We're going to talk about the Trash Panda Act in just a moment. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for the Glock store. Here's the deal, folks. I am so lucky to be able to talk to you about the Glock store. We are so lucky to have the Glock store in Nashville because I don't know if you know this or not, but people all over the United States of America shop the Glock store for their incredible selection of performance-related parts that they can get to you jiffy quick from the Glock store. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons that people like Glock so much is the nature of the Glock. You can adjust, you can make it yours, you can put custom parts on there, performance parts on there, competition triggers, red dot optics. I mean, you can make it your own, right? And right here in town, you get the benefit of having the Glock store there to have their gunsmith put your performance part on for you while you wait for free. How about that? Whatever parts you purchase to customize or enhance your Glock, they will be installed for free while you wait. What about that? You buy the parts, they install them for free. There's a lot of reasons to love the Glock store. This is one of them. Free parts installation. Absolutely love this place. Go to shoot270.com for more information about their incredible shooting rooms, or go to glockstore.com for more information about all the performance parts they have right there on site. They are minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the Glock store.
My turn. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, full forecast, and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Breaking news right now. Looks like the SpaceX mission to bring home Starliner astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams has been postponed due to a hydraulic issue. Not with the rocket, but something on the ground. The top Senate Democrat says Chuck Schumer Just a few days to the deadline to avoid a federal government shutdown.
Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate to invoke cloture on the House CR. Our caucus is unified on a clean April 11th CR that will keep the government open and give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass.
The Trump administration cannot deport former Columbia University student and anti-Israel protest organizer Mahmoud Halil just yet. A federal judge on the case today says he must remain behind bars in Louisiana for now, though. Michelle Franzen with your money news.
Markets ending the day mixed, with the Nasdaq and S&P notching gains thanks to encouraging inflation data and growth in tech stocks. The Dow losing 83 points, the S&P rose 27, and the Nasdaq ended up 212 points. The Consumer Price Index found inflation rose 2.8% in February compared to a year ago. That's better than expected. Nvidia climbed about 6%, trimming its loss for the year to about 14%. Server maker Supermicro Computer and GE Vernova, which is helping to power AI data centers, also rose. But tit-for-tat tariffs are still rattling markets around the world. President Trump's 25% tariffs on all imported steel and aluminum products went into effect overnight. In response, Canada and the European Union slapping retaliatory duties on U.S. goods. Brown-Forman, the company behind Jack Daniels, tumbled 5.4%.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. It is taking a while for northbound 65 to get back up to speed there at Goodlettsville. That's because earlier we had something spilled blocking both lanes, and it was backed up all the way to Briley Parkway. It is still very slow going in parts getting up to Goodlettsville, so it's taking a little longer than I thought it would for everybody to get back up to speed there, northbound 65 to Goodlettsville. Elsewhere in Franklin, we've got a stalled vehicle on the right shoulder, 65 southbound after McEwen Drive. In the Gore here, we've got a stalled vehicle, 40 eastbound at Charlotte Avenue and near the airport, 40 westbound before Briley Parkway. Stalled vehicle on the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I mean, if you're going to pin me down on it, no. Cameron Smith and Matt Murphy were just conversing before the commercial advertisement ran out there that Tulsi Gabbard is a very attractive political figure.
Yes.
And you're not gonna. We were talking actually about possible down the road, and this is sad. This is what sad people who like sad political discussions do. We talk about, what's going to come up?
What's next?
We just had an election. We're like, what do you think's going to happen in 2028? Who would be the vice presidential pick? And we're just talking about different scenarios by which, and Tulsi Gabbard wasn't one of our choices, but one of our choices led to a conversation about Tulsi Gabbard. One way or the other, it is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. Glad to have you with us. We're winding it down 38 minutes after the hour. Ken's gone. He's turned out the lights and he's gone on home. I was hoping to catch Ken before he went home so I could say,
party's over.
Say, go dogs. Ken and I are mortal enemies because the Midland Georgia Bulldogs, who may or may not get a seat at the NCAA tournament table, are playing the Midland Oklahoma Sooners tonight in the SEC Championship right here in beautiful Music City.
And you're in the same bracket as the slumping Alabama Crimson Tide.
Y'all beat Auburn.
We did.
Y'all whooped up on Auburn at their place.
And that's all that counts.
Look, split the series, right? It oddly, the away teams beat the home teams.
If you look at the Oats, Pearl, back and forth, like it's split almost down the middle.
And I am told that that game was an overtime buzzer beater victory. I think
it was at the end.
Yeah.
And then there was a crane in question, and whether that was sportsmanlike to have that said crane and Bruce
Pearl. There was a crane? Like Mr. Miyagi kind of thing?
Yeah. It's become a thing with Auburn and Alabama, the crane.
Oh, has it now?
Yes. And now it is taunting, but Bruce said it was taunting, and everyone knows it's taunting. It was not called taunting.
Everyone, I don't keep up with the Alabama-Auburn rivalry in the same manner that I did when I lived in Birmingham, I will admit.
That's fair.
But that's what I have you for.
Yeah. Well,
I absolutely love the fact that I saw you do the crane twice. I just saw it on Talk TV.
Yeah. Well, you got to be up on these things.
Okay, so every good piece of legislation needs a good acronym, and you have come up with one of the best ones that I've ever seen. It is the Tennessee Raccoon Adoption, Safety, and Habitat Protection and Nurturing Domestic Animal Act, also known as the Trash Panda Act.
Yeah.
Tell me what it does, Cameron.
Well, this is something that people may not know about the state of Tennessee because it's a deep red state. But we still have a lot of bureaucratic mess that's just a historical artifact of the way it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of joking about this with you a while back of, well, I think we should make it legal to own raccoons in Tennessee. And what I actually discovered was you could, but there was like bureaucratic hurdles you had to jump through for no particular reason. And we discovered that you can, in fact, vaccinate raccoons.
I was going to ask. My big objection was, but that whole vaccination thing. And then we discovered, I think you found it out, that if you get raccoons early, you can vaccinate them from rabies.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got that covered. And the whole point of this, because some of y'all out there are like, well, what? Why would we want to make it easier to own a raccoon?
Because we would pass something called the Trash Panda Act.
Obviously, that's first and foremost.
Yeah, no
but
question.
Also, we've got to just start cutting back on this random regulatory stuff that doesn't really have a purpose other than we do some fees and bureaucracies.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's really why this is there. And I checked and I looked at neighboring states. Did you know in Arkansas, if you want a raccoon as a pet, you can have up to 6. You must catch them by hand.
What?
Which I guess you can trap them, but you can take a native species of animal to the state of Arkansas, of which the raccoon is one, and you can capture it and make it your pet.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Up to 6. No endangered species. There's certain salamanders and things we can't do this with. But in the state of Tennessee...
Wait, so I just want to make sure I understand you. In the state of Arkansas, if you catch a critter that is native to Arkansas with your hands, You can keep it as a pet.
Up to 6 of them. So,
up to 6.
Yes. Specifically, raccoons, possums, squirrels, rabbits.
Bear?
There's certain other variances on the larger animals, and certain deer, for example, were grandfathered in. If you had captured the deer by 2012, they could live out their natural life, but they have since changed that for whatever reason.
I had a neighbor who had a pet deer.
That's great.
Very cute.
Yeah.
Very cute.
My point here is
would walk in the house.
No one knows why we have to have this bureaucracy, but it exists.
So obviously the raccoon thing, nationwide really, I think was originally because raccoons could carry rabies and they would not become symptomatic and they would not die.
Right.
They were just a carrier of rabies. And so, people was like, maybe we should keep these animals away from humans because if they scratch a human, then now the human's got rabies and we don't know what are we going to do.
But the problem here is raccoons don't stay away from people. Raccoons get in their trash all the time.
Yes.
And so those are way more problematic than the one that you capture and you say, hey, I will raise you and you can be my service raccoon.
Here's the deal. I'm all in on this legislation. All in.
All in.
And do you know why?
Why?
You might say, freedom, Matt? No, I'm all for freedom, but that's not the reason. You might say, oh, you believe in less government and more personal responsibility, Matt? No, that's not the reason either.
You do believe in that, though.
I do believe in those things. I just want to own a panda. I mean, a trash panda.
I like a panda, too.
I like a panda. I just want to own a raccoon.
Yeah.
I want a raccoon because I think, and I could be completely wrong, but I envision that a raccoon is somewhere between a 3-year-old toddler and a dog.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And if you think your dog's great, your dog ain't got no thumbs. I just want you to understand that. They got that weird claw on the back, but it doesn't do anything.
That little duke of whatever.
That's not a thing.
I mean, if your dog had a thumb, it'd be a raccoon.
And we shouldn't protect stupid people. You know what I know about raccoons, having caught said raccoons? They are jerks. When they are mature, they want to bite your face off.
They do.
They are not happy. They've had a lot of trauma probably from being raccoons and doing things raccoons do. And they are angry, very, very angry. And so if you are the kind of person that says, you know what, I'd like a big raccoon to be my pet, then you deserve what's coming to you, and the state should not intervene.
Yes, Cameron, but what about vaccinations and public health considerations?
We've made a lot of strides in veterinary science. We do have vaccinations, and hey, you know what? If you have a raccoon and you choose not to vaccinate that raccoon and they bite somebody, it's just like a dog.
This is my favorite part. You put a one-sheeter together.
I have.
It's called a legislative brief, the Trash Panda Act, the Tennessee Raccoon Adoption, Safety, and Habitat Protection and Nurturing Domestic Animal Act, or Trash Panda Act. You have background and current restrictions. You talk about the need for a limited government approach. Vaccination and public health considerations. I like this. A free market approach to raccoon domestication.
Obviously.
And then your conclusion. And in conclusion, you say the Trash Panda Act represents a common sense limited government reform that modernizes Tennessee's pet ownership laws by recognizing the advancement in veterinary medicine, respecting personal freedoms, and embracing market-driven solutions. Tennessee can lead the way. Is raccoon ownership, so it's legal in Arkansas? How many states?
So I think it was 13, and there's different layers of bureaucracy on that. Like in Tennessee, technically legal, but you got to have a USDA breeder. You cannot get them in the wild.
Way too many hoops.
Right. And my point is, you're going to let me shoot that thing and eat it, but I can't have it as a pet.
Baby raccoon, man. I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in. All right, so the question is, what legislator is going to sponsor the Tennessee Raccoon Adoption, Safety, and Habitat Protection and Nurturing Domestic Animal Act, and what free market, small government Republican is going to oppose it?
Yeah. And
because I'm coming at you.
I want to see this as a matter of principle. Because, look, I wouldn't do something like this even in kind of the jest that we're talking about it if I thought it was going to hurt anybody. But the fact is, I know it's not going to hurt anybody. It's just maintenance of a bureaucracy.
I'm going to own a raccoon in the state of Tennessee, and I'm going to name him Herschel.
That's very Georgia of you. And
I never wanted a dog named Herschel. felt weird to me.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of complexity here. What if I go to Arkansas and you get Herschel in Arkansas, and then you cross state lines back into Tennessee?
Herschel wearing a seatbelt in the passenger seat of my pickup truck?
Right. You got a problem.
I do?
And so, yeah, I think you do.
Herschel can't come with me?
Look, it's
what are you talking about?
It's a legal gray area. And so I think that conservatives need to, if we're going to get serious about bureaucracy, we got to start with the silly little things like this before we ever get to the big things.
I'm all about this.
Yeah.
All right, let's find out where John is on it. John, you're up with Cameron and Matt on the Matt Murphy Show. What's happening?
Not much. How are you guys?
I'm well.
Good. No, I agree. There should be some, some of the stuff that when it comes to the owning a raccoon, like, should we? Yeah, probably. I mean, but why? It's a raccoon. People make pets out of them all the time. They're just not official. People feed them. Same thing with foxes, everything else. When it comes down to the rabies thing, there's what I made a comment on. The USDA and some states airdrop rabies vaccines in the woods for them to eat to help combat them getting rabies.
Really? That's cool.
You look it up.
Well, but the bottom line is, if I vaccinate my raccoon, my pet raccoon, I mean, would you have a problem, Cameron? I don't want to get in front of the your legislative brief here, but would you have a problem if someone suggested an amendment to the bill requiring vaccinations for pet raccoons?
I would probably say it's the same thing as your dog.
Sure.
I was going to go with that.
If you don't get it vaccinated and it gets rabies and bites somebody, you got a problem on your hands.
You've got a civil liability.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would go as far as that, saying, if you're rabies, adult raccoons are little a-holes, and if they were to attack someone, that is on you as the owner, and that's your liability, much like having a dog.
And make it clear to the owner, like, look, you have an opportunity to get your little pet raccoon, little Herschel, vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But if you don't, and Herschel scratches somebody, that is automatic death for Herschel, because we got to figure out if Herschel has rabies.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know if that's still a thing, but if it is, that's fine. But my deal on this is, if you say you want to pet the raccoon, I'm going to be like, that raccoon has a mind of its own. You're on your own. Good luck. I mean, people are going to make those decisions, and they can deal with the consequences. That's how America needs to work.
I love it. John, I love it. 3193 says, I'm emailing Charlie Baum. I don't know who that is. Is that I think that's a legislator. I'm emailing Charlie Baum and telling him he needs to sponsor the Trash Panda Act. Okay, yes.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post it on X, and I'll tweet it to you.
Please do.
And then that way y'all can have it, and you need to give it to your legislator. I'm going to give it to Jack Johnson.
We're going to talk to Scott Sapicki tomorrow.
Okay.
And he's in, and I'm going to demand that Sapicki,
let's do it,
good Murray County resident, time to sponsor the Trash Panda Act, and we can get Jack in the Senate, maybe?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's roll.
And we're not kidding, friends. We're going to do this. Luke, you got the last say on this thing before we have to get out of here. What's up, Luke?
Hey, guys, just real quick. If you catch one in the wild, you want to make sure that joker's under a month old. Any older than that little sucker is a tiny grizzly bear and will eat you alive. The ones that are domesticated, that is only through your trash and stuff. I can feed you. No, do not do that.
I like that. I like the characterization.
Push them off with a broom,
A tiny grizzly bear with opposable thumbs.
Yeah. They'll ruin your life. They will.
No, I love it. And I'm here for it.
Last story, real quick.
Yeah.
Coon hunt with my uncle. When I was 12 years old, we knocked out a 40-pound bull coon, and he whipped 6 dogs twice.
Wow.
When I carried him out, I was, like I said, I was 12, but I'm still a half pound anyways. But that joker, he had over 2 inches of fat on him, and I mean just a monster. But dude, he backed up against that oak tree and whooped those dogs, and I tried to get in there with them. But anyway,
Luke,
and you can't take care of them.
You're reminding me of an old Jerry Clower. You remember Jerry Clower? When Marcel climbed the tree to get the coon out of the tree. And he's all the commotion. And Marcel's like, shoot this thing. Marcel, I can't shoot up there. I might hit you. Well, just shoot up here amongst us, because one of us has got to have some relief. Jerry Clower. We'll be back in a moment to wrap this thing up. All right, friends, Matt Murphy for Efficient Heating and Cooling. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling would like to tell you if your heaters, your AC is not ready, call Jeff Eddy. If your AC is not ready, call Jeff Eddy. See, that rhymes. And I also love the fact that Jeff Eddy is offering you a max value of $125 per maintenance visit on your air conditioning unit, no matter how many units you have and no matter where you are. Now, that's maximum that you're going to be charged. Oftentimes, it is much less than that. Jeff Eddy wants to assure you that he is here to maintenance that unit to make sure everything's running as it should as we get into spring. I mean, it was pretty warm today. Many of you might have popped that AC on. Did you? Did you smell the smell? Let's eliminate that by calling Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Plus, Jeff has a system for you if yours goes down. Now, sad to say, it will happen at some point in the system's life that you need a new AC unit. If it happens to you, who are you going to call? I encourage you to call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. They're an Elite Pro partner with the Rheem. 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or go to efficienthvac.net. That's efficienthvac.net. Not enough time. Simply not enough time to cover the expansive response via the phone lines and the super text line on the Trash Panda Act.
I'll get you all the info. We're going to do it.
We're going to do this. I mean, so many of you are like, I want skunks. I want squirrels. We'll get to y'all. We'll get to y'all. Some against it. Not many, but some.
Some people are communist.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You're not going to keep me away from my little Herschel, my precious little angel. Herschel with his little... Herschel, go get me an ice cream, and he'll run off to get me an ice cream. He'll come back with ice cream. And he'll get himself one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's how it goes. That's going to do it for us. Read Cameron over at the Tennessean. Support him over there in Conservative Closet.
Appreciate it.
We got to go. It's the Murphy Show.